Chapter 1105 Myriad Dragons Enter the Body. Chapter 1105 Myriad Dragons Enter the Body. The same death god, the same desperate situation. The scene was almost exactly the same as Longjanting, except the place was slightly different. Longjanting's was the abyss. Long Fei was from the Dragon Palace. Strangely, why did the death god choose the people from the Long family, or the father and son pair? Long Fei did not think about this. Regardless of the price, he could only think of killing Jiyu Tongtian right now. Even if he died, Long Fei would not hesitate. No, big brother Long Fei, don't agree to it, don't. Yuna could sense the aura of death that appeared in Long Fei's mind. As long as she sensed that aura, she would not forget it. This death god was the same death god who signed the death god contract with Longjanting. What is he trying to do? What does Long Fei want to do? The girls were extremely worried. Yuna cried, "Big brother Long Fei wants to sign a contract with the death god. He wants to sell his soul to the death god. This cannot happen. If it's like this, big brother Long Fei will never be able to recover." Jojo trembled and said, "Young master, you can't be like this." All the girls started shouting. Jiyu Tongtian looked at Long Fei with interest and said, "It's the death god's contract again. Looks like you two really resemble each other. Your father only signed the contract with the death god when I entered into the abyss back then." Jiyu Tongtian was still very pleased with himself. No matter who Long Fei signed the contract with, he was not afraid. Because the power in his body was invincible. It was invincible in the god's martial continent. Long Fei clenched both his fists and heavily shouted, "I." At this moment, the instant that Long Fei agreed, a strange scene happened. A ball of light floated out from Long Sanfeng's corpse. It was the light of the immortal soul. A dragon's roar resounded in the air. Finally, with a flash in the air, the fluorescent light rushed into the depths of the Dragon Palace. At the same time, over 8,000 Long Army's corpses all shone with a fluorescent light as they followed Long Sanfeng's primordial spirit light into the depths of the Dragon Palace. Buzz, Green Dragon Ancestor, could not control himself and rushed out of the Green Dragon Tripodes, followed the light of the immortal soul stage into the depths of the Dragon Palace. Black Dragon Ancestor also rushed out. Sea Dragon King rushed out, followed by 8 golden dragons rushing out, followed by 1 dragon ancestor after another that escaped Long Fei's control, rushing towards the depths of the Dragon Palace. Long Fei was stunned. The god of death became anxious and asked, "Long Fei, have you made your choice yet? As long as you agree, I can immediately help you kill him. This is the only way you can kill Jiyu Tongtian." Long Fei said slightly, "What are you so anxious about?" Deep within the Dragon Palace, a ray of light suddenly exploded as tens of thousands of dragons roared, causing the entire dragon domain to tremble. At this time, a voice resounded in Jiyu Tongtian's mind. Then, his expression changed as he coldly looked at Long Fei and sneered, "Brat, today is your lucky day." Then, Jiyu Tongtian's figure flashed, carrying the sky god dragon cauldron with him, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the horizon. Long Fei wanted to chase after him. However, the light from the depths of the Dragon Hall had attracted him, and he also wanted to know why his grandfather's primordial spirit had entered the depths of the Dragon Hall. "Long family, what exactly is the secret behind the dragon race?" The voice of the god of death sounded once again. "Long Fei, Jiyu Tongtian has already escaped. If you don't make your decision soon, you won't be able to kill him. Your father, your mother, your grandfather, and your Long family were all killed by him alone. If you were a man, you should have taken revenge 10, or even 100 times more. I can make it happen, I can make it happen." There was a hint of anxiety in his voice. Long Fei muttered, "Death God, what are you so anxious about?" The more the death god acted this way, the calmer Long Fei's heart became. He did not understand what death was so anxious about. Or could it be? Was he afraid of the light in the depths of the Dragon Palace? Jiyu Tongtian must have escaped because he was afraid of the light coming from the depths of the Dragon Palace. Who was it? Boom. Long Fei took a step forward, as he wanted to understand this point clearly. Moreover, There was a strand of energy in Long Fei's mind that was guiding him, telling him to go over. "Don't go over there." The god of death roared and said, "Long Fei, you can only take revenge if you listen to me. In all of God's martial continent, only I have the strength to help you kill Jiyu Tongtian. Hand over your soul." Death was getting more and more anxious. Long Fei raised the center of his brows and suddenly shouted, "Death God, you have to be more clear that this is my territory." Boom. With a thought, Death Space closed his eyes. Long Fei's figure flashed like lightning and landed on the light. Buzz. A hum resonated in his mind as a strong power seemed to be controlling his mind. Long Fei stepped into the strong light. Boom. A loud sound echoed out. The system beeped out a prompt. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 experience points for entering the Dragon Soul Pool, 10,000 points for the power of Celestial, and 10,000 points for obtaining a special reward. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the SSS level quest to find the Dragon Domain. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the reward. The reward is myriad dragons entering the body. The system beep descended. A gigantic dragon rose into the air from the Dragon Soul Pool, flew into the air, and then charged down heavily towards Long Fei's head. Crack. It was like a bolt of lightning had struck down. Long Fei's body sank and his power began to surge. It was an incomparably strong power that Long Fei had never experienced before. Boom. Another dragon soared into the sky. A heavy blow came down. His strength increased yet again. Boom. Another gigantic Long Fei rose. Every time the giant dragon's power entered Long Fei's body, Long Fei's mind expanded a little, and within his mind, a few images of some divinity-s appeared. The reason the god's martial continent dragon bloodline escaped was not because of some great calamity. It was because they had obtained something. It was a destructive item. It was because of this that the dragon race had been annihilated. The dragon clan split into 18 branches to escape the divinity. None of them knew whether the item they brought out from the dragon clan was the heaven-defying spirit treasure or not. All they knew was that they would have to protect them forever. The treasure that Jiyu Tongtian obtained is that heaven-defying spirit treasure? No. The heavenly dragon cauldron is only one of the 3 great holy artifact of the dragon race, and not the spiritual treasure that would cause the divinity to tremble. Long Fei stopped to think of all these. Rumble. Rumble. The 1,000 dragons entered his body. Long Fei's power was only SOSO, abnormal strong. A full day later. 5,000 dragons entered his body. Another day passed. 10,000 huge dragons entered Long Fei's body. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the assimilation of 10,000 dragons into his body. His strength had never been stronger. At this moment, a dragon coffin in the depths of the draconic soul pool that was thirsty flashed with a 7-colored light. This is the light of the main artifact. Chapter 1106, Recasting a Zhuge Sword. Chapter 1106, Recasting a Zhuge Sword. The light of the main artifact. Every single ray of 7-colored light radiated an endless amount of power. This was also Long Fei. He had it with the system, only then did he discover the strange 7-colored light on the dragon coffin through the system. At least, even a peak-flying immortal like Jiyu Tongtian did not notice, otherwise he would not have just thrown away the celestial dragon cauldron. Long Fei was secretly shocked, so it is that divine object. If I did not use the system to check, I would definitely not have discovered it. From this, we can conclude that the entire dragon race does not know that the secret treasure they brought from the divinity is the main artifact that their ancestors obtained. The main artifact, my god. Long Fei could not help but become excited. The super divine object that came from the divinity was so powerful that it was unimaginable. Even the Yuan Long did not know of its existence. They had always been protecting something that they believed to be the dragon clan's heavenly divine dragon cauldron, but... And then, Long Fei carefully walked forward, gently exhaled, and watched the dragon coffin gently place one hand on it. It felt cold. And then, he could not feel any energy fluctuations, nor the overbearing and powerful aura of the main artifact. It was completely like an ordinary stone coffin. Buzz. Long Fei kept the idea and kept it inside the space ring, then immediately checked its attributes. Item: Dragon Coffin. Rank: Main Artifact. Attack, Defense, Passive. Description: 1. Gathering all 5 domain treasures of the God's Martial Continent can trigger the power of Dragon Coffin Level 1. Description: 2. Except for a brief explanation in Description 1, all the rest were question marks. However, Long Fei almost drooled when he saw the 3 words on the Dragon Coffin's rank: Main Artifact, Main Artifact. Ha ha ha. It really is a main artifact level divine object. It was difficult even for Holy Artifact S. This time, it was the main artifact. Then isn't he an invincible existence in the God's Martial Continent? How do I use this thing? All 5 domain treasures? Long Fei muttered. Nantian Region's Dragon Salya, Immortal Domain's Juga Sword, Dark Domain's Hell Wheel, Savage Domain's Teleportation Gate, Dragon Domain's Burning Heaven? If I have these 5 domain treasures on me, how do I use them? Long Fei was a little confused. Looking at the dragon coffin, Long Fei suddenly realized, could it be that all 5 domain treasures were placed inside the dragon coffin? That must be it. After discovering its usage, Long Fei became excited again. Jiyu Tongtian, if I don't smash you into pieces this time, I will change my surname to yours. And then, Long Fei took a step forward. Big brother Long Fei. Young master. The girls immediately came over to welcome him. Seeing Long Fei's calm expression, they were slightly relieved. Liu Luoshi asked, Long Fei, how are you? He had jumped into the dragon soul pool and stayed there for 2 days and 2 nights. They were incomparably worried, but they did not dare to disturb Long Fei. It was good to have someone to worry about. Long Fei said lightly, I'm fine. Right. I'm going out for a while, stay here and don't leave. Also, take care of their bodies for me. They're not dead yet. Long Fei said lightly. After 10,000 dragons entered his body, all of this energy was actually stored in Long Fei's body for a short period of time. Of course, Long Fei could also let these powers belong to him forever. But if that was the case, Long Sanfeng, Long Zhanhai, and the more than 8,000 disciples of the Long family, the Green Dragon ancestor and the rest would never be able to live. With 10,000 dragons in his body, Long Fei truly knew the meaning of Long family is a dragon. Actually, this was the grand scheme of the Yuan Long. It was a situation that lasted for more than 6 million years. Long family was the reincarnation of the dragon race. Every disciple of the Long family had an primordial spirit of the dragon clan within them. When these primordial spirit were entering the dragon palace, they would be attracted by the dragon soul pool. Originally, they could have completely jumped into the dragon soul pool and evolved, but before they could jump in, they were all killed by Jiyu Tongtian. With this, they could only enter the dragon soul pool in the form of a primordial spirit. The Long family had once lost more than 500 powerhouse S in one night because they had opened up their dragon domain at that time and endured the tribulation that occurred once every 33 million years in the dragon domain. However, that time, he failed. With Long Wushan in the lead, over 500 Long family S all fell. It was just an attempt. It had also allowed the Yuan Long to avoid a calamity and have caused his primordial spirit to linger for more than 6 million years, to be reborn in Long Fei's body. But he never would have thought that the current Long Fei was a transcender, and a madman that would never back down, that took away everything he owned. Finally, it was replaced. This was the secret between the dragon race and Long family. The Long family was the dragon race, and the dragon race was the Long family. It was just that. The Long family was a dragon that gave up their dragon domain. They appeared as humans on top of the God's Martial Continent, lying in wait for the great sages who could turn the situation around to appear. Is Long Fei a almighty sage? He didn't even know it. Anyway, he was sure of one thing. He was him, not some dragon race. When everyone heard him say that Long Sanfeng and the rest were not dead yet, their faces all shook. All of them became happy and said, Long Fei, they. Long Fei said, don't worry, I have a way to bring them back to life, but now is not the time, wait for me here. Long Fei looked at each and every one of them, and said with a gentle smile, "I will definitely return." Finished. Long Fei moved, turning into a ball of light and disappearing into the sky above the dragon domain. Long Fei did not rush to immortal domain. Instead, he found a hidden place and tried to recreate the Zhuge sword. It was a domain treasure of the immortal domain, and only by recreating it could the 5 domain treasures be considered as truly being gathered. After this incident, Long Fei clearly knew that he couldn't afford to lose. If he lost another time, he would never be able to recover from it. However, not this time. He was not alone now. There were many people behind him. We can't let these people get into danger. Hualala. Hualala. The fire burned crazily. Long Fei dropped a dozen or so immortal crystals and activated the power of Celestial. The immortal crystals burned, and the flames burned crazily. Long Fei moved and threw a piece of the Zhuge sword. The Zhuge sword was recast. In another place. At the peak of the Sky Soul Cliff. Jiyu Tongtian, who was summoned, looked like a devout follower as he quietly knelt on the ground and waited. God's Soul Mountain, the first summit of God's martial continent. It was also the place closest to the sky in God's martial continent. Rumble. With a loud sound, a huge face appeared in the air. Jiyu Tongtian's eyes were startled. He immediately kowtowed and prostrated on the ground, and said, "Welcome, Master." And then, his hands took out the Sky God Dragon Cauldron and said, "My lord, this is the thing that secret treasure of Long Clan is looking for." The space between the eyebrows of that huge face twitched as her idea entered the Celestial Dragon Cauldron. Half a second. The Celestial Dragon Cauldron exploded. Chapter 1107 Another Sacrifice. Chapter 1107 Another Sacrifice. Celestial Dragon Cauldron. The holy artifact of the divinity, one of the 3 divine objects of the Dragon Clan. He possessed the power of a super-strong divinity. He could be said to be an invincible existence in the gods' martial continent, and even if he was placed in there, he would be a very good treasure. However, in less than half a second, he was blown away by the idea. How strong was this? To be able to destroy the divinity's divine object, he was extremely strong, indescribably powerful. The mysterious giant face was enraged as he shouted, "Trash! Rumble!" Jiyu Tongtian was immediately smashed into the ground started to crack and the entire God's Soul Mountain was cracked. His face was pressed up against the ground, the stone was pushed into his flesh and blood started to drip out. Jiyu Tongtian said with difficulty, "Sir, this is the divine object from the Dragon Soul Pool, it is this item. I really do not have any secrets." He didn't dare to hide it. Forget about the divinity's divine object, he wouldn't even be able to hide anything even if he got his hands on the main artifact. Life was more important than anything else. The mysterious giant face frowned. 18 dragon clans. This is the last bloodline. It's impossible for it to not be here. Absolutely impossible. That item must be in the God's martial continent. Back then, escaping from God's martial continent was the weakest of the dragon race, which was why it was ignored by everyone. Now that I think about it, that thing must be here. There must be something else in the Dragon Soul Pool, the mysterious giant shouted. Jiyu Tongtian replied, "Really, there's nothing. It's just this dragon cauldron. There's nothing in the entire Dragon Soul Pool except." The mysterious giant face shook and asked, "Except what?" Jiyu Tongtian said, "Other than the coffin with the dragon cauldron, that coffin is nothing. It is just an ordinary stone coffin without any energy fluctuations or any aura. It is definitely not something you want to find." Boom. The mysterious giant face's eyes flashed with a bright light, and became extremely excited, saying, "This is it, this is it, this is it. Ha ha ha. I finally found it. I've finally found him. And then, bring me that sarcophagus," the mysterious giant face shouted. As soon as he finished. "Not in the Dragon Palace." The mysterious giant face's face suddenly darkened. He was taken away. That kid. He wanted to say something, but the expression on his face darkened again, and he said softly, "Could it be that you found out that it was a main artifact?" "PH, so what if you find out? You don't even know how to use it, nor do you know how strong its power is. Ha ha ha. And in just a few days, your dragon race will face a calamity. Can you survive that? Jiyu Tongtian carefully asked. Master, then what should I do now? The mysterious giant sneered and said, You don't need to do anything. Wait for me. Wait. Jiyu Tongtian was a little confused. The mysterious giant face said, In a few more days, the calamity will descend upon the dragon race. No one will be able to resist the sky law, and when it comes to the sky law, I'm so stupid. Only those who steal something from heaven will be punished by the heavens. I should have long thought that the item was in the gods' martial continent. Following that, he continued, Long Fei will definitely stand up for the dragon clan. When the time comes, you can just bring me the corpse. He was very interested in Long Fei. To be able to stand at the peak of a plane for a mere 30 years of age, what was needed was not only talent and hard work. Long Fei might have other powerful things on his body. Jiyu Tongtian immediately replied, This subordinate understands. Lord, my longevity. The enormous illusory face glared at him. Jiyu Tongtian immediately knelt on the ground, and didn't dare to say half a word more. Buzz. A ray of light enveloped him and Jiyu Tongtian's energy immediately became abundant. This was the characteristic of having her life force replenished, and she was extremely excited as she immediately said, Thank you, Master, thank you, Master. In addition, my lord, I've discovered another woman with a purer soul. The mysterious man looked startled, and said, Could it be that this little god's martial continent has someone purer than the soul you worshipped last time? Jiyu Tongtian said, Yes, this woman is one of Long Fei's women. He possesses the phoenix blood vein, is born with a sacred body, and his soul is pure and devoid of any impurities. Master, do you want me to capture her for you? The first time he saw Jojo, he already knew that Jojo's soul was incomparably pure and holy. It was even purer than Long Fei's soul back then. It contained an incomparably powerful energy. The mysterious man said slightly, Let me handle Long Fei first. We can talk about other things later. Jiyu Tongtian immediately replied, This subordinate understands. The void illusionary idea moved, and said lightly, You are not allowed to fail this mission, this will give you a stronger power. Remember, you must succeed. Buzz. A wave of energy enveloped Jiyu Tongtian's entire body. After Jiyu Tongtian sensed a little bit more, he felt a kind of incomparable power surging in his body. He was extremely excited and said, Thank you, Master. At this moment, the sky returned to normal and the shadow disappeared. Jiyu Tongtian slowly crawled up from the ground, patted off the dust on his body, and finally sneered coldly, Long Fei, this time you're dead for sure. Ha ha ha. After I take care of you, even if I can't break into the void and enter a higher plane, I can still enjoy the limitless longevity and become the Lord God of God's martial continent. Ha ha ha. Jiyu Tongtian laughed out crazily. He was just one step away from his dream of limitless longevity. That was Long Fei's life. In the deep valley. No way. No way. It still won't work. I don't have enough strength, so I am unable to combine the power of the Zhuge sword. Long Fei battered him between the brows tightly. For a whole 10 days, he continued to reforge Zhuge swords. It was not easy to reforge a Zhuge sword. He wanted the energy within the Zhuge sword to be linked together once again. This meant that he needed a strong power. A few attempts were unsuccessful. Long Fei heaved a heavy sigh, and said faintly, Let's try out the dragon's force. Boom. The fire was ignited. Long Fei moved his idea and its leader started to move. A dragon's roar resounded in the sky. Roar. Long Fei's body was trembling. The dragon's force was far too strong, almost to the point of being uncontrollable. Rumble. The gigantic hammer in Long Fei's hands heavily smashed down, and energy surged into the Zhuge sword fragments. The powerful energy crushed everything in its path, and he shouted loudly, Let me succeed. Boom. Boom. The gigantic hammer was like a torrential storm, crazily hammering the Zhuge sword. The power within the Zhuge sword converged bit by bit, fusing together, forming a strong resonance of power. Half an hour later. Ding. Chapter 1108 Unaccompanied Fight. Chapter 1108 Unaccompanied Fight. A system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully forging it, obtaining a special reward. The refining techniques has been raised to the great perfection stage. It's a success. Long Fei looked at the Zhuge sword that was recreated. The light was dim like flowing water, its power was not revealed, its connotation was sharp, and it contained a wild and untamed power inside. Huff! Long Fei let out a heavy breath, and said, "I've finally succeeded." At this time, Long Fei took out the Hell Wheel. The idea moved and a wave of energy rushed into the Hell Wheel. Boom! Who was using Seal in the Hell Wheel, was released. The moment Song Qianqian came out, he threw himself into Long Fei's embrace and immediately began to cry, saying, "I don't want to be like that, Long Fei, I really don't want to be like that." He tried his best to defend in the Hell's Wheel, not wanting to trap Li Yuanba and the others. However, she couldn't control herself at all. Long Fei said indifferently, it's okay, everything is over now." Song Qianqian said, "Long Fei, let's not go and take revenge. The rainbow-colored divine power on Jiyu Tongqian's body is too powerful, no one in the god's martial continent is his match. Moreover, there must be a outer space powerhouse behind him. Long Fei, let's find a place to hide. I promise you everything, I'll bear your children, give birth to many children. Can we not go?" She was really worried. She was very clear that no one could withstand the power that erupted from Jiyu Tongqian's body. Long Fei looked at her tearful eyes and felt his heart ache, saying, "Don't worry, I won't lose anymore. 1,000. Listen to me, go to the dragon domain and wait for me there. Tell them that I will definitely return and that I will definitely not lose again." This time, Long Fei would not allow himself to lose again. If he lost again, he wouldn't forgive himself. He would bet everything. Even if he had to die, he would drag Jiyu Tongqian and the powerhouse behind him into hell. Be good, Long Fei faintly said. Even though Song Qianqian didn't want to, she knew in her heart that no one could persuade Long Fei when he decided on something, and gently nodded, "Long Fei, you must be careful. There are so many people waiting for you." Long Fei replied, "I know. This battle was for revenge. For himself, and for his women, and for his brothers, and for his family." Song Qianqian rode on the full moon wheel and left. Long Fei opened the system to check all of the skills and attributes, which were all piled up with experience elixir and black boxes. He had never opened any of these. Not forgotten. Instead, it would open when one wanted to enter the Chaos Realm. Now, Long Fei moved and said, "Giant demon, come out." Boom. The gravity troll walked out from the 18th floor of hell and said, "Boss." Long Fei took out all of the black boxes from the space ring and said, "Put these boxes on top of the Sky Patrol ship." The gravity troll was startled, and said, "Boss, aren't these worries of yours the result of your painstaking efforts? Why didn't you open it? These black boxes definitely belonged to the god's martial continent. They might be the holy artifacts, but no matter what, they were not as good as the Chaos Realms boxes. This was the limitation of the laws of the plane. Even if it was a holy artifact of the god's martial continent, they might not be worth even a single cent in the Chaos Realm." Wanted to compete with Long Fei. He felt that the Yang Huang ancestor needed these more. Yang Huang ancestor must have needed a large amount of energy to rebuild his body in the deity's lake. Long Fei replied, "Just do it." Also, boom, boom, boom. The Earth Demon, Lei Mo, and the other 4 dragon demons all came out. Long Fei said, "From today onwards, you are free to go wherever you want, but there is one thing you can't follow me. Gravity Troll, you too, after you give the thing away, you will be free." Lei Mo stared blankly for a moment, then said, "Boss, are you trying to dismiss us? More or less?" Long Fei laughed, "You are demons, I should not restrict you." The Earth Devil said, "It's not like you've restricted us. Boss, we don't want to leave, so just let us follow along." The Gravity Troll said, "Earth Demon, Lei Mo, don't you know what boss means? We can't burden the boss," he said. "Boss, we will go to Dragon Domain to wait for you." Finished. The gravity troll forcefully pulled the earth demon back, and Lei Mo and a few other dragon demons left. Looking at the 3 cards in the system. Nox, who was at the 9th level of the Holy Ranked. Galen, who was at the 9th level of the Holy Ranked. There was also the Barbarian King that Long Fei had not used. He had no way of releasing these 3, as the system had determined. However, they were characters in the game, so even if he died, they would still be fine. Thinking about this, Long Fei relaxed. Then, Long Fei landed on top of the Thunder Dragon Pearl and said, Feia. Feia had followed him for almost 10 years. In these 10 years, Long Fei felt that he was in debt because he didn't find the fairy clan nor her home for Feia. The task might fail. Long Fei said, Feia, I'm sorry. Feia's tears flickered as she said, Master, please don't be like this. As long as you don't let me go, I'm willing to do anything you want me to. I can warm your bed. She was really afraid that Long Fei would let her leave. God's martial continent was so big, she really didn't know where she should go. She was homeless. Long Fei said, All right, then follow me, it's just that. I didn't help you find the elven tribe so that you wouldn't be able to return home. Feia shook her head. Master, you are my home and you are my tribe. Suddenly, the system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. Surprise. The mission was completed all of a sudden. Long Fei had thought that the mission would end in failure, but he did not expect Feia to complete the mission with just a few words. However, Long Fei did not care about the reward anymore. He wanted to throw everything away. He wanted to fight with all his strength, without any worries. Task completed. Long Fei looked at Feia and said, You go to Dragon Domain and wait for me there as well. Once I've settled everything, I'll go find you too. Feia obediently nodded and said, Ien, Master, you must come and fetch me. Long Fei smiled and said, Don't worry, I will definitely do so. How could Long Fei bear to have so many beauties? Even if it was a dream, Long Fei would still do it in a domineering manner. A little bit more brothers, and a little more beautiful women. Everything was done. Long Fei looked up to the sky and clenched his fists tightly. His eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, Jiyu Tongtian, your father is here. Boom. He turned into a ball of light and rushed towards the immortal domain. Chapter 1109, Crushing Jiyu Tongtian. Chapter 1109, Crushing Jiyu Tongtian. Ha ha ha. Come on, little beauty. God Emperor Academy. After transforming into a wine pond, Jiyu Tongtian, who had received his longevity, was crazily enjoying it. He was fearless now. There was no one in the entire God's martial continent that could shake him. He was just waiting for the Dragon Clan's calamity to befall, then he could just hand Long Fei's corpse over to the Lord. Everything felt so good. In Jiyu Tongtian's arms were 2 unclothed absolute beauties. The beautiful girl had a charming face as she said coquettishly, Master, will Long Fei really die? The Lun family is so scared, the God Emperor city is in such a state, if only he comes back. Humph. He dares to come? Jiyu Tongtian's eyes became angry, and she said, If he dares to come, then he is courting death. Don't worry. As long as I am here, no one will dare to touch you too. Jiyu Tongtian played with a woman who said that the older you get, the more boring it becomes. Why do I feel like I have endless power? In this world, you should be happy in time, ha ha ha. Jiyu Tongtian frantically moved. He now had his lifespan to use as he pleased, so he did not have to worry about anything at all. His grandson died. Then just make another grandson. As long as there was life in this world, anything was possible. Suddenly, a thunderclap sounded in the sky above God Emperor City. Boom. Jiyu Tongtian, get the hell out here. A loud sound echoed out. The entire immortal domain was trembling and the inside of the God Emperor City was in chaos. Every single one of them were incomparably afraid of Long Fei, and upon hearing Long Fei's voice, they all started to tremble. The 2 women under Jiyu Tongtian shrunk back and trembled slightly. Master, it's Long Fei, it's Long Fei. Jiyu Tongtian's eyes opened wide, looking at them, He saw the look of fear on their faces, and they both threw out two palm strikes, boom, boom. Instantly, it transformed into fine powder. Jiyu Tongtian gave a cold snort and said, "I just said, as long as I'm here, you don't have to be afraid." That scared me. Seems like it's time for people to know how powerful I, Jiyu Tongtian, am. I want to make all living beings on God's martial continent fear me and respect me as if I'm a god. Get dressed. Jiyu Tongtian slowly walked out of the room and looked at Long Fei, who was in the air. The corners of his mouth curled up as he laughed coldly. "You're courting death. Shua." He exerted his strength and flew up into the air. A powerful aura burst out and disdainfully said, "You dog, I'm not going to look for you, but you're going to look for me first." "What? Are you here to throw away your life? Do you want me to send you to hell with your grandfather?" Ha ha ha. Arrogant laughter. The current Jiyu Tongtian did not even put Long Fei in his eyes. The power he possessed now was earth-shattering. What did a mere Long Fei count for? Long Fei glared at the raging roar in his heart. In that instant, Long Fei's body moved, and waves after waves of muffled thunder rumbled in the air, as his figure turned into a long afterimage, as if millions of Long Fei's had charged out. Jiyu Tongtian floated in mid-air as he sneered disdainfully, "Long Fei, you're too slow. How can trash like you fight against me? Since you came here to throw away your life, then I'll grant you your wish." Boom. The rainbow-colored energy on his body exploded outwards, and in the sky, it was completely filled with the power of Jiyu Tongtian's explosion, crazily rushing towards Xiong Longfei's tens of thousands of figures. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, and shouted in his heart, "Dragon's force, open for me." Rumble. Roar, roar, roar. Long Fei did not hold back the slightest bit of all the power that a dragon had entered his body, and released all of it. At this moment, Long Fei was not alone. They had 10,000 dragons behind them. All dragons were the power to return to the dragon. All of their energies were gathered on Long Fei's body. In this instant, it was as if Long Fei controlled the power of heaven and earth. Facing Jiyu Tongtian's colorful light power, his fists moved, "Break for me." Boom. The punch landed. The colorful light's power released a crack. Jiyu Tongtian's gaze tightened, and his mind trembled as he said, "Impossible." Ah! Another wave of energy, which was even denser than the previous ones, struck his body and shouted, "Long Fei, just die." Long Fei punched out again. Rumble. Hualala. This punch completely shattered the colorful light's power. The entire sky was filled with dragon's force. It was incomparably powerful. The 10,000 dragons roared. Twisting. The sky above God Emperor City was covered. At this moment, Long Fei was the ruler. Jiyu Tongtian's face paled, and said, "Impossible, impossible, my strength is invincible. You can't be my opponent, Long Fei, you can't." Ah! Jiyu Tongtian roared. The colorful light's power from his entire body formed a gigantic shockwave. He released all of his power. Long Fei stared intently at Jiyu Tongtian with his gloomy eyes, and said, "I'll let you know what is called impossible." Myriad dragon wave. Penetrating body. As Long Fei roared, 10,000 gigantic dragon silhouettes exploded outwards in the air, crazily smashing into the colorful light shockwave that Jiyu Tongtian released. Hualala. Hualala. At this moment, the colorful light's shockwave had been destroyed, completely unable to stop Long Fei's dragon's force. You know, when the dragon ancestor returned to his position, all of the energy that he released was the mighty power of the divinity. No matter how strong Jiyu Tongtian's strength was, he would not be a match for the dragon's force. Boom. The 10,000 dragons roared, as they all passed through Jiyu Tongtian's mind. Jiyu Tongtian's entire being seemed to be about to go crazy, as he wailed crazily like ghosts and wolves. "Ah! No, no, no! Long Fei, I beg of you, please don't kill me. Long Fei, please kill me, I beg you, please kill me, please let me die." This sort of pain was even worse than reincarnation in hell. He would rather die than suffer such pain. Long Fei's face turned dark and he said, "Die? It's not that easy." Most of these huge dragons were Long family's disciples. These people were all killed by Jiyu Tongtian, so naturally they had to pierce into his body one by one. Moreover, the eruption of the dragon's force had instantly crushed Jiyu Tongtian. This surprised Long Fei, and at the same time, he was exceptionally shocked, because the dragon's force was too strong. In that case, then Long Fei's motive would be a little bigger. It was not Jiyu Tongtian, but the outer space powerhouse behind him. Long Fei wanted to know who exactly was doing this to him. Who wants to obtain the main artifact, and what is this main artifact? It was definitely not as simple as a coffin. 10,000 dragons piercing the body, Jiyu Tongtian felt as if he had died 10,000 times, his face was pale white, his body was curled up and he was shivering. Long Fei stood in front of him and said with a cold smile, Jiyu Tongtian, now, can you tell me who the outer space powerhouse behind you is? Chapter 11:10 Opening of the Main Artifact. Chapter 11:10 Opening of the Main Artifact. Jiyu Tongtian was only a chess piece. The powerhouse behind him was the one who truly wanted to kill Long family. Who is he? Divinity? Chaos realm? Or was it a higher realm powerhouse? Long Fei didn't know. However, to be able to keep an eye on the main artifact, this kind of person must not be simple. Since it was not simple, it must be a super strong boss. It could possibly be the strongest boss in God's martial continent, so if it was a boss, how could he let it go? Sky Soul Cliff, the peak. This was the second time Long Fei had visited this place. The first time was to look for a god's soul herb, and at that time, he was unconscious, and his experiences were extremely blurry. That person was his father, Long Zhanting. Now that he appeared again, his heart ached. Because his father had already been dragged into hell by death for his sake. Huff. Long Fei exhaled, looked at Jiyu Tongtian, and said, let's begin. Jiyu Tongtian was battered and exhausted when he heard Long Fei's voice. He trembled in fear, afraid that Long Fei would attack him again with the myriad dragon feathers, which was something he was truly afraid of. However, he was even more afraid of death. Jiyu Tongtian looked at the sky and said solemnly, Brat, once that powerhouse appears, it will be your end. Ha ha ha. And then, Jiyu Tongtian entered the space and shouted loudly, Master. The sound exploded in the air. There was no response from the sky. Immediately, Long Fei kicked him and bellowed, there's no reaction. Jiyu Tongtian fell to the ground with a kick from Long Fei. 2 of his front teeth had been knocked off, his mouth was full of blood as he said bitterly, don't be anxious, you have to wait a while before you appear. As he spoke, Long Fei kicked him again, and said, then why didn't you say so earlier? Pa. Jiyu Tongtian lied on the ground once again, his entire face covered in dirt and he looked extremely miserable. Long Fei shouted, shout a few more times for me. Jiyu Tongtian became ruthless and cursed in his heart, Long Fei you dog, you dare to be arrogant when you're about to die, just you wait, I'll have you meet the king of hell soon. I will turn all your women into my playthings. Just you wait. Jiyu Tongtian's voice once again transmitted into the void, Master. Right now, he wished that powerhouse would appear, so that he could personally witness Long Fei getting tortured to death. Pa. Another kick. Why haven't you come out yet? Jiyu Tongtian laid on the ground, crying as he said, I don't know either. In the past, he would come out after I shouted twice. This time, I don't know either. You don't know? Long Fei's eyes became angry, and he said, if you don't know, why aren't you shouting for me? Pa. It mercilessly kicked, not giving Jiyu Tongtian the chance to catch his breath. To his father. Kill his grandfather. And even offered up her mother to the outer space powerhouse. Long Fei didn't forget these grudges for a single moment. Jiyu Tongtian was completely crushed by Long Fei, the hatred in his heart roiled and churned. Long Fei, don't be complacent, it's going to be your funeral soon. Call me again. Just say that I'm here. As soon as Long Fei finished his sentence. Rumble. A huge explosion sounded out from above the 9th heaven. Next. In the direction of the Nantian region, millions of kilometers away from him, a gigantic whirlpool of clouds appeared, revolving layer by layer as golden lights glimmered in the clouds. Natural phenomenon. What is this? Long Fei's face sank as he suddenly thought of something. Tribulation. A tribulation that occurred only once every 33,000 years. Long Fei's mind trembled, his expression changed greatly as he muttered, "The place where calamity descends is the dragon domain, then. They giggle." Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and his joints cracked. Jiyu Tongtian did not know about all this, but at this time, the peak of God's Soul Mountain was also rolling out thick clouds, and a huge illusory face appeared. Jiyu Tongtian's eyes flashed, and said excitedly, "Ha ha ha! It's here, it's here. My lord. I brought Long Fei here, quickly kill him, quickly kill him." Jiyu Tongtian laughed complacently with a face full of contempt. He stared at Long Fei and said, "You dog, your time of death is up, ha ha ha." He was a completely different person. Jiyu Tongtian was extremely cocky. It is true that the powerhouse behind Jiyu Tongtian is important, but his family was more important. Immediately, Long Fei didn't even think twice as he turned and transformed into a ball of light, rushing towards the Nantian region. No matter what this calamity was, he had to protect the dragon domain. Boom. His body was blocked by a strong force and he bounced Long Fei back in an instant. Phut. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiyu Tongtian was all smiles as he pointed at Long Fei's nose and laughed, "You dog, is it good? Ha ha ha. You still dare to run around in front of me, does my lord agree?" It was also at this time that enormous, illusory face hovered there in midair, then said softly, "The draconic tribulation has begun. Long Fei, you can't go back. Now hand that thing over." The giant face was filled with excitement. After waiting for millions of years, he finally got this moment. Jiyu Tongtian immediately shouted, "Long Fei, did you hear my lord speak to you? I told you to hand it over. You're so noisy." Shua. Long Fei moved, he rushed forward and used his hand as a blade, and chopped down. Jiyu Tongtian's eyes flickered as he shouted, "Master, save me, save me." Not waiting for him to finish. His head had already flown up. With a move of Long Fei's idea, the 10,000 dragons roared and directly crushed Jiyu Tongtian's primordial spirit. With a move of his footsteps, his right leg fiercely kicked towards Jiyu Tongtian's head. Shua. The head flew to the gigantic face in the sky. The gigantic face did not have any reaction, he did not have any intention to save Jiyu Tongtian at all. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Jiyu Tongtian for obtaining 2.9 billion experience, 3 million power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. The system sounded out a few times. Long Fei did not care about the attack at all, and instead focused his eyes on the damage the head could cause to his giant face. Miss. It could be said that there wasn't even a trace of damage because there wasn't even the slightest bit of damage caused when the sword went through Dragon's force. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, huge dragons roared from Long Fei's back, and with a single step he rushed forward, saying solemnly, "Who the hell do you think you are, wanting something from this daddy?" The mysterious giant face laughed and said, "Dragon's force? Humph. So weak." Before he could finish, a force pressed down from the giant face, as if the sky had fallen. Boom. Long Fei's entire person was crushed, the dragon's force was instantly shattered. The entire body of the God's Soul Mountain had ruptured, and the first front of the immortal domain had been destroyed. The giant face sneered, "Such power isn't even an ant in our world. Long Fei, submit to your fate and obediently hand over that thing." The dragon's force was instantly crushed. This phantom was unimaginably strong. There was only one way to kill him. Long Fei moved his body and summoned his dragon coffin. "You want to? Then let me show you the power of a main artifact." Chapter 11:11, Target Lock. Chapter 11:11, Target Lock. "You want it? Come and take it." Long Fei moved and took out the dragon coffin. Tell the truth. Long Fei also did not know how to use it, but this main artifact did not have any instructions nor did it have any description. Or was it a defensive type? Long Fei didn't know. However, all he knew was that this was his only backup plan. The enormous illusory face looked at the dragon coffin that Long Fei had taken out, and after sensing it for a bit, its entire body became excited. Such powerful strength. Ha ha ha. The main artifact's aura, his mine now. The clouds in the sky violently surged, turning dark. The enormous illusory face became especially irritable and excited, as if the dragon coffin had gained the entire world. At the same time, as if influenced by the appearance of the dragon coffin, the calamity above Nantian region began to move faster, and was about to descend. Above the 9 heavens, thunder raged. Layer by layer, the entire God's martial continent could feel the impact of this immense power. Compared to the 2 previous waves of power, this time, it was much more ferocious. More powerful than the last 2 times combined. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, your dragon domain is about to be destroyed. If you hand over the thing now, maybe you will have time to see your family. The mysterious giant face said with a smile. To him, Long Fei was just a piece of meat on the chopping block, he wouldn't be able to escape. Long Fei frowned, he was still checking the dragon coffin system description. The 5 domain treasures can be activated, how do I start it? Was it really put in the coffin? The mysterious giant sneered, you think you can activate the main artifact? Do you know how to use it? Do you know what a main artifact is? Hand it over obediently, brat. Main artifact are not people that you can afford to play with. The main artifact. If he didn't know how to use it, then it wouldn't be as useful as a coffin. F***ck. I won't allow anyone to be arrogant in front of me. You like it, don't you? That I don't understand main artifacts, right? Then this daddy will let you know what a main artifact is. Long Fei cursed angrily in his heart, you're risking it all. The dragon coffin opened. Long Fei flipped his right hand, and the hells will flew into the coffin. Buzz. In that instant, a roar came out from the coffin like a terrifying steel monster. The enormous illusory face was stunned. He could clearly feel that the dragon coffin's power had increased by a bit, but it did not show any signs of exploding. He loudly mocked, do you think that the main artifact is a pig? You need to be fed. Ha ha ha. I'm going to die from laughter, low-level trash are just trash, they actually use things to feed the main artifact, I'm going to ***king die from laughter. Long Fei held a ball of fire in his hand as he looked at the gigantic illusory face mocking him. It was also at this time. Ding. The first layer of main artifact energy is complete. Long Fei was startled. Hearing the corner of the system Beep's mouth hooked up, he laughed coldly, and said, laugh? Let's see how long you can laugh for. Boom. The second domain treasure, the savage domain teleportation door. Buzz. The dragon coffin's strength increased another level. Ding. Main artifact energy filled, second level complete. The mysterious giant face was still laughing and said, brat, you are ***king funny. You are definitely here to make fun of me. Main artifacts don't play like this. Boom. The third domain treasure, immortal domain Zhuge sword. Buzz. The dragon coffin slightly shook, its strength increasing by another level. Ding. Main artifact energy filled, third layer complete. And after the third system beep sound, he discovered that there were traces of changes on it. A true dragon's mark faintly appeared on the dragon coffin that originally had nothing at all. The true dragon occupied the entire dragon coffin, as if it was alive. The giant face's expression changed slightly. At this time, he stopped laughing and thought to himself, true dragon? What exactly is this main artifact? He didn't know. He only knew that it was a main artifact. What use was it? He didn't understand either. But he definitely wasn't feeding with food. Seeing the appearance of the real dragon, his expression became abnormal. Boom. Fourth item, Nantian region dragon Salia. Ding. The main artifact energy is filling up. The fourth layer is complete. The true dragon rolled around, moving on the dragon coffin, becoming exceptionally sinister. The last one. Long Fei took out the sky-burning dragon gun. The idea moved, and said lightly, Fen Tian, I don't know what will happen if I completely lose you, but... Fen Tian laughed out loud, boss, if you say these words, then it's foreign. Don't worry, I, Fen Tian, will never die. You can rest assured. What were the consequences? Long Fei did not know, and neither did Fen Tian. After all, they had never met a main artifact before. But Long Fei didn't have a choice. Long Fei shouted loudly, "Go!" Boom. Fifth item, Dragon Domain Sky-Burning Dragon Gun. Buzz. A powerful ray of light burst out from the dragon coffin. It was a strange rainbow-colored light that overshadowed all the other powers in the god's martial continent, as though it was the blazing sun hanging high in the sky. Ding. The main artifact energy is filling up. The fifth floor is complete. Ding. The main gun's energy has been filled up. Do you want to release it now? Ding. Player, please choose your target. The system beep continuously sounded. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and his heart trembled. Main gun? The dragon coffin is a main gun? Lock on. Long Fei's idea moved, and directly locked onto the target as the huge illusory face. Ding. Target locked. Release? At this moment, both of his faces were still stupefied. His eyes did not dare to move as he looked at Long Fei, and said slightly, "Impossible, you can't possibly know the usage of main artifact, it's absolutely impossible. If even I don't know, how would you know? Kid, who exactly are you? Kid, what are you hiding?" Under the muzzle of the gun, the enormous illusory face's voice began to tremble. It was as if the scythe of death was resting on his neck, a gentle slash could drag him into hell. He was afraid. Long Fei laughed, and said, "Don't you like to laugh? Smile for your father again. Didn't you say that your father doesn't understand main artifact? You are King smiling at lousy." Long Fei roared, with a sinister look in his eyes. The mysterious giant said with a sinister look in his eyes, "Brat, don't be too arrogant. Even if you activate the main artifact, what can you do? Do you know how to make it release Sovereign's power? Even if you do, this is only one of my idea. I can evolve 1,000 or 10,000 idea. When the time comes, I don't believe that I won't be able to kill you." Just as he finished, Long Fei moved his idea and roared, "Then come and kill me now." Boom. The dragon coffin moved, and the main gun shot out. Chapter 11:12 Void Walk. Chapter 11:12 Void Walk. Who cares about some powerhouse? What plane, what shadow, idea? Don't say anything. Let me blast you with a shot first. The true dragon on the dragon coffin surged, sending out a stream of energy. It was like a laser beam. The mysterious giant face looked at the incoming powerful beam of light and laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. The strength of main artifacts are indeed formidable. He could feel the irresistible power of the beam. Facing such power, he did not try to defend at all, because any defense in front of the main artifact was like a chicken or dog's, an existence that instantly ruptured. There was no one in this world who could resist the power of main artifact. Unless it was the main artifact's defensive equipment. The mysterious giant face could not resist it, but he did not resist it either. Instead, his face was filled with excitement, because when he saw the strength of the main artifact, he felt an incomparable amount of strength, and was incomparably excited for this kind of strength. Because the enormous illusory face was only one of his ideas, and his real face knew of all of this. It did not matter if her idea died. Next, his real face would personally come, and would definitely not give Long Fei the chance to use the dragon coffin. The mysterious giant face laughed out loudly and said, "Brat, just you wait, ha ha ha. The main artifact is mine, you only killed one of my idea. The moment my real face descends, your Long Fei's death will be the day your dragon clan will be annihilated." Long Fei contemptuously said, "You're still so arrogant. If Lousy can teach you a lesson, I can." He did not finish his words. Long Fei stopped and blurted out a curse, F***ck. What the hell is going on? The beam of light did not pierce the enormous face. He merely shot out towards the void beside him. Long Fei was dumbstruck. He can even miss. What kind of bullsh**t main artifact is this? An imposter? F***ck, do you want to cheat Lousy like this? Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. The giant illusory face occupied half of the sky, and it could actually miss. This is called a main gun. Even if it was a fart, it wouldn't miss. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The mysterious giant face laughed maniacally, almost to the point of pooping. Brat, I'm 100% sure now that you're just a tease. Ha ha ha. It was hard to imagine. The sky was filled with enormous faces, and they were able to miss just like that. It had to be said that the death of Main Gun was extremely awesome, to the point that no one could understand what it was. Long Fei really wanted to smash this dragon coffin into pieces, if possible. It was just that. In that instant, his idea connected to the main guness that had been shot out just now, and his expression became cold. I passed through the Chaos Realm. He passed through the Azura Realm. Transmigrated. He can cross planes. How far can we fight? What is he trying to do? Long Fei was a little confused. Indeed, it was shot from far away, through the gods' martial continent, the Chaos Realm and the Azura Realm. Wherever it went, nothing could stop it. Not even the laws of the planar. But what's the use? If he couldn't kill them, even if he could shoot them from afar, it would be of no use. Suddenly, Long Fei's heart tightened, entering the divinity. In the Chaos Realm, it only pierced through the void, but it did not enter the Chaos Realm. In the Azura Realm, it did the same thing. Is it going to fall? That's not right. That's not right. Long Fei continuously shook his head, and his entire person began to become inexplicably excited, as he muttered, This. Could it be that they are going for real Face's side? This. Long Fei was stunned once again. Suddenly. Brat, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? You. His real face felt a powerful force charge towards him. It was the power of the main gun that was being shot out from the gods' martial continent. Inside a huge cave. An old man was stunned. Just a second ago, he was smiling excitedly, but this second, he felt like death was coming. No. It's not like that. It can't be like that. Rumble. The main gun bullets pierced through a huge mountain range and shot out, directly smashing into the cave he was in, causing the sky to suddenly sink. The entire divinity was trembling. Rage. Countless powerhouse appeared out of thin air. They were all awoken by this powerful force. The power of the main artifact. The power of the main artifact. Who obtained this main artifact? Could it be that the primordial divine war is about to begin? It's the cave of the absolute god Heavenly Monarch. He is the super powerhouse of the divinity. Why would the main artifact attack him? Where did the main artifact's power come from? What did the god of heaven do? He seems to be one of the people who launched the war against the Dragon Clan back then. Could it be? The people of the Dragon Clan had come back for revenge? Or could it be that the dragon race really has a main artifact? The whole divinity was in an uproar. It was also at this moment. The powerful main gun exploded on the head of the ultimate god Heavenly Lord. Rumble. 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 Powerful energy covered tens of millions of kilometers as powerful shockwaves shot out. The entire mountain range stretching for tens of millions of kilometers became flat in that instant. All living beings within this range were instantly killed. No one reacted immediately. Whether it was humans or beasts, they were all the same. This kind of main artifact's power was enough to destroy the heaven and earth. Such terrifying power. On the other hand, the supreme god Heavenly Monarch's body was instantly destroyed, his primordial spirit shattered, his idea-s, consciousness, and consciousness completely ruptured, causing the millions of idea-s he had created to truly shatter one after another. Boom. 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 God's martial continent. The enormous illusory face trembled, crazily roaring, No. At this moment, Long Fei was stupefied. He was completely dumbfounded. Looking at the dragon coffin beside him, he was so shocked that he couldn't say a single word. Too fierce. Locking onto the idea, he directly attacked Real Face. Furthermore, the damage they caused. The word fierce could no longer be used to describe it. Long Fei looked at the trembling afterimage and laughed. Don't you King evolve into millions of idea? Aren't you arrogant? Aren't you the super powerhouse of divinity? Can you be even more King awesome? Can you? Heh! Long Fei roared each word, as his entire person was immersed in a kind of ecstasy. Looking at the enormous illusory face that was shrinking, his heart grew even more excited. The supreme god of the divinity. How strong was this boss? What would it burst out? I'm looking forward to it. Chapter 11:13, Deceiving the System. Chapter 11:13, Deceiving the System. Ha ha ha. Lousy is going to send it. Long Fei rubbed his hands. He was a little impatient. He had never looked forward to this before. The gigantic illusory face was tearing open as it let out a furious roar. Long Fei, this matter will not end like this. The main artifact has already been exposed, just you wait. Long Fei said, die then. Boom. The illusion shattered. The system beep rang. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's End Heavenly Lord for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial value, and 10 ability points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing countless divinity demon beast, obtaining 19 billion experience, 100 million power of celestial points, and 100,000 energy values. 2 notifications. Not one more. Long Fei quietly waited for another half a minute, but he still did not hear a notification sound at all. Immediately, Long Fei was displeased. Damn you, system, what are you doing? Divinity's super boss, does it have anything other than experience? Are you kidding me, Divinity's boss? Suddenly, a mess started to appear. This kind of boss level, to Long Fei was comparable to the heavens, but not even a fart. This was acceptable. Long Fei cursed loudly, system, give me an explanation, if not, I will curse your 18 generations of ancestors. It was too hard. Long Fei thought that he was going to make a fortune, but there was nothing. Wasn't this playing a joke on him? Ding. System notification. The main artifact's power is too strong. Once the target is attacked, everything on the target will turn into ashes. Besides experience, the target will not be able to obtain anything else. Ding. System notification. The main artifact bombardment, players can only get experience. Long Fei was speechless. However, this had happened before as well. Due to the sheer force of the blow, the target was turned into smithereens. As a result, nothing could explode from the blow, but Long Fei really couldn't accept it. Long Fei said, system, can't you do this? I spent 5 domain treasures to kill a boss, and the main artifact didn't have any special instructions on it. Furthermore, I have locked onto one of his idea, but killed the real face for me. No can do, you have to compensate me. I have to compensate you, that's all. To kill such a strong boss, don't you have a reward? Since the system had given an explanation, then Long Fei had to haggle over the price. Otherwise, he would not be Long Fei. System. Silence. At this moment, a system notification rang out. Ding. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward for using the main artifact for the first time. The reward item is, please open the dragon coffin. Heh. Long Fei immediately followed along. Opening the dragon coffin, he found a weapon quietly lying inside the dragon coffin. A knife. A mad knife. It was a wild blade that was emitting a tyrannical divine intent. A raging blade that Long Fei liked at first glance. It was stronger than Dragon Salya, and more exquisite than Zhuge sword. Long Fei gently picked it up. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Absolute God Slash of the True Dragons. Item. Absolute God Slash of the True Dragon Grade. Attack. Description. The sword contains the power of 3 elements, the true dragon, the ultimate god Heavenly Lord, and the burning heaven. Description 2. The release of power requires a powerful blade intent. Description 3. Not restricted by the power of law. Long Fei gripped the blade heavily, the blade's body released a loud noise, and in that moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly changed, as if he had turned into a berserk blade. They were all ants. Arrogant beyond compare. Long Fei was excited, but in his heart, He was slightly satisfied. At this time, the system sounded out once again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for opening the first layer of main artifact. The conditions to open the second level is unknown. Chaos Realm is looking for him, activating the second layer's function, transformation. He can transform? Long Fei's eyes trembled. Could it be that you can create a beautiful female warrior? Ha ha ha. If the first layer can turn the divinity into dregs, then how strong is the second layer's power? Enter the Chaos Realm? You must enter. Absolutely. Long Fei began to get excited. Another notification rang out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the Great Perfection stage. Do you want to summon the Heavenly Tribulation? 100 billion experience directly allowed Long Fei to break through his limit. He had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Flying Immortal stage in an instant, and his experience bar was about to explode. His current cultivation level had reached the highest level in God's martial continent. In other words, he could now summon the Heavenly Tribulation to transcend it. Only after going through the baptism of Heavenly Tribulation would one be able to break through the void and enter a better plane. This was a restriction of the law. If one was unable to cleanse the power of the original plane, then it would be difficult to achieve something even if one entered a higher plane. Martial arts cultivation would be restricted. Strength is cowardly. This was also the rule of the plane. To cultivate was to go against the heavens. To break through a level, one had to be baptized by the heavenly punishment. One had to resist the heavenly punishment. However, very few out of 10,000 people had successfully transcended the tribulation. Because the god's suffering force was fierce. The more killing there was, the stronger it would be, and few would be able to withstand it. The tombs of the powerhouse in the necropolis of the God Emperor were enough to explain everything. Perhaps there were people who had successfully transcended the tribulation, but it was definitely extremely rare. If tribulation was easy, then Jiyu Tongtian would not have to worry about his life and there would not be so many flying fairy stronger men gathered here. They were all afraid of the power of the celestial tribulation. They didn't even dare to try. Huff. Long Fei was silent for a moment, and then said to himself, now is not the time. Long Fei looked at the cloud vortex in the distance, and lines of golden light flickered. What kind of power was this? The destructive power of the dragon race. What was it? Long Fei didn't know. But he knew that he could only choose to rush to the Nantian region. Long Fei used all his strength and quickly rushed to Nantian region. The sky exploded. Golden light wreaked havoc in the 9 heavens as streams of power bombarded the entire God's martial continent. Is this the calamity of the dragon race? I once heard Big Brother Long Fei mention that this calamity is going to swallow the entire God's martial continent. Yuna began to feel the power within this tribulation. In just that short moment, she spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't bear the power that exceeded her limits. Yuna. Song Qianqian protected Yuna. Yuna shook her head, I'm fine. The power of this tribulation is just too strong. I can't sense the source of my power at all. Sister Qian Qian, what should we do now? Linglong said lightly, Yuna, what can you see? Yuna looked at them. Now, Jojo and the others knew that Yuna had the prophet blood vein and could see some things that would happen in the future. Yuna's eyes lit up. Chapter 11:14, Unparalleled. Chapter 11:14, Unparalleled. Ever since I met Big Brother Long Fei, I have not used the prophet blood vein to look into the future. However, at this point, Yuna couldn't hold it in any longer. She wanted to know what would happen in the future. She wanted to know how Long Fei was doing now. The power within the prophetic blood vein started to surge as her pupils suddenly enlarged. Her body sank and fell onto the ground paralyzed, as if she had received some kind of powerful impact. Big Brother Long Fei. No way. His face was extremely pale, and his entire body was trembling. His lips began to tremble as he said, no, no, no. He kept chanting. It was as if he was frightened by a powerful force. His eyes glazed over. Song Qianqian hugged Yuna, gently patting her back. It's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. From the look on Yuna's face just now, their hearts had sunk. Needless to say, they knew that Yuna had seen something terrifying. At this moment, Jojo clenched his fists and walked out. "Sister Jojo, where are you going?" the leopard girl asked. Jojo glanced at the dark sky outside and muttered, "I won't allow anyone to harm young master." After which, he walked out. The leopard girl's eyes were filled with wildness as she followed Jojo out, and said, "I definitely won't let anyone hurt my husband." The three Liu Luoshi sisters walked out. "We will definitely not let anyone hurt Long Fei. Stinking hooligans can only be bullied by us, we can't bully anyone else." The power of the vermilion bird on Linglong's body moved, and said, "Senior brother Long Fei, I want to protect you." Man Tualuo, Xiao Ying walked out. Song Qianqian pulled Yuna up, and said, "Yuna, you're right here." With a move of the lunar divine sword in her hand, she also charged out. Within the dragon palace, the expressions of the remaining people were downcast. They were all trembling from the crushing pressure of the dragon clan's calamity. They couldn't withstand such a powerful force. Suddenly, Xiao Bai roared, and said with a heavy tone, "Are we not even equal to a woman? What are you afraid of? If worst comes to worst, I'll die." Xiao Bai broke through the suppression of his mind caused by the calamity and instantly became irritable, his body instantly transforming into an incomparably large fierce wolf. His body released the might of a divine beast. Bing Hua looked at the dragon soul pool. He really wanted to jump in and become stronger. However, right now, the dragon soul pool was thirsty and devoid of anything. This was his hope. "Since I am destined to not be able to become the high and mighty dragon god and am destined to be unable to take shortcuts, then I will walk forward step by step. One day, I will roam the wild universe." As one side of the ice and fire was scarlet red while the other side was ice Xuanar Bai, they both spread their wings and flew out. Next, Dao Ba and the others also threw caution to the wind. He walked out with large strides. In an instant, everyone in the dragon hall left. Facing Jiyu Tongtian, they had never been afraid, because Jiyu Tongtian was only a single person. Even if he wasn't an opponent, as long as they could find his weakness, they would still be able to defeat him. But now they weren't facing people. It was the tribulation of the dragon clan. What catastrophe! They did not know that the fear of the unknown was stronger than any fear. Buzz! The phoenix blood vein in Jojo's body moved, and a seven-colored light overflowed. As it moved its body, it looked like it had turned into a phoenix fairy, flying above the dragon palace. Raising his head to look at the deep whirlpool of clouds, he said heavily, "Come at me. If you have any powerful energy, then charge at me." She was a different person. His eyes were filled with determination. Jojo secretly thought, "Young master, I won't let anyone hurt you, I definitely won't," Jojo swears. Rumble. The sky darkened as a powerful force bombarded down from within the vortex. As though it was a punishment for the words Jojo had just said. The power on Jojo's body surged, forming into a strong phoenix power, as it collided against the power. At this moment, the leopard girl's javelin moved and shot out. The exquisite rosefinch blood vessel. Song Qianqian's strength as a woman of the 9 heavens. The strength of the 3 Liu Luoshi sisters. Everyone gathered their power into a single point, heavily blocking the attack. Hualala. Rumble. The two forces collided, and the sky seemed as though it was going to explode at any moment. It was incomparably intense. The entire dragon domain was trembling. Rays of energy shot out from the sky, covering millions of kilometers. It was as if the sky was about to split open. Everyone in the entire God's martial continent was looking up at the sky. A 3-year-old child, a 100-year-old man, a warrior, and a powerhouse. They were all looking up at the sky, their hearts trembling as they simultaneously prayed. No one could withstand such power. If a wave of force struck down, the entire God's martial continent would be penetrated, and the entire plane would be destroyed. All of them would die. Faced with the power of this tribulation, humans seemed incomparably small and insignificant. Too small. Has it begun? Has the storm begun? Long Fei used all of his strength and rushed over like lightning. Looking at the energy exploding in the distance, his heart started to worry. Don't do anything stupid. Hurry up. Level 10. Buzz. Long Fei fought with his life on the line. However, the distance between Immortal Domain and himself was unknown. Even if he used all his strength to get there, he would still need time. It was not something that could be reached in the blink of an eye. Boom. Jojo was flung out, causing the people behind her to all fly backwards, retreating quickly. Xiaobai took a step forward, and the strong wolf god's body moved. Roaring into the sky. The huge force lowered itself and said to the sky, "Come." The spear of the wolf god. A huge wolf shadow appeared in the sky and stabbed down with a huge and thick spear. Not even waiting for the spear to fall, even the shadow of the wolf god was crushed. Xiaobai spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. As soon as the ice and fire wings opened, they shot up to the sky, ice and fire 9 heavens. Rumble. Rumble. When ice and fire interweaved, each layer was more powerful than the previous one. Boom. Within the vortex, a stream of energy bombarded down. An even stronger power of fire and ice crushed down. In front of it, the power of ice and fire was like that of an ant. Bam! The flames and ice were sent flying. Again, everyone was unwilling to accept this outcome. He once again released all his power and once again charged up. But, in less than half a second, he was sent flying once again. Moreover, they did not even know the source of their power, so what was the golden light in these vortexes? I don't know. What exactly is this destructive power? I don't know. He couldn't stop it at all. Yuna stood at the side and cried loudly, "Big sister Jojo, you can't go all out. If you go on, you'll all die, so don't go all out anymore." Die? When Jojo heard the word dead, her eyes suddenly moved. In that instant, the phoenix power on Jojo's body turned into flames, flew into the sky with a single step, and charged into the vortex of the clouds. Chapter 11:15, Jojo Nirvana. Chapter 11:15, Jojo Nirvana. Sister Jojo, what do you want to do? Jojo. Jojo. The girls were shouting, but they could not keep up with her speed. The power of a phoenix blood vein could not be compared with a normal blood vein. Jojo looked at them from the back and said, "Tell young Master Long Fei that he will not regret following him." Finished. Her figure changed. Woo! A miserable scream came out, and then Jojo's body turned into a real phoenix. She was rushing toward the center of the whirlpool. At this moment, her body was emitting an incredibly pure and holy power. What a pure soul! I have never seen such a pure and holy soul. I think it appeared last time as well. However, this soul is even more interesting than the last one. It's even a phoenix blood vein. One by one, discussions broke out in the golden areas within the thick clouds. They were all stunned. Because of Jojo's soul. Everyone in this world had their own selfish desires and desires. This also caused everyone's soul to have some impurities, so it would not affect their cultivation. However, to Powerhouse of a higher plane, it was different. They needed this sort of incomparably pure and holy power, because every single one of these powers could give them a powerful boost. Thus, they were all shocked. However, a voice called out, "No matter how pure or holy your power is, it can't stop us today. We have to punish the dragon race in the heaviest way. Because they deserve it. This is their punishment for stealing the main artifact. It's time for them to perish." Boom. The sky darkened and a thick vortex of clouds started to swirl as endless golden light flickered. Streams of powerful energy rushed towards Jojo. Jojo was frantically absorbing the energies. Jojo's body continuously flew high into the sky. Boom. Boom. He attacked with all his might. She withstood the force of the impact. In a split second, she broke through the center of the cloud vortex and leapt high into the void. Her body fell to the ground as she looked at the massive whirlpool that was the bell. Suddenly, Jojo looked into the distance and muttered, "Young Master Long Fei, Jojo will be your maid again in the next life, hey." His smile was incomparably brilliant. He was laughing extremely happily. He was laughing like an angel. Jojo's body surged. As he looked at the massive vortex underneath him, he let out a scream. The strongest power of the Phoenix energy began to surge. Burn the 9 heavens! Boom! As soon as his voice faded, the flames on Jojo's body suddenly exploded as he fell from the whirlpool of clouds. Wave after wave of energy spread outwards as waves of Nirvana's flame churned. It rotated. The clouds of the first 9-story heaven began to burn. Fire clouds filled the sky. Jojo's body descended once again, and the flames at the 8th floor began to burn. His body descended again. With every layer he descended, the layer of cloud that was swirling around him combusted, filling the sky with fire. From the 9th floor all the way to the 1st floor. And then, the entire sky was burning as endless amounts of Phoenix nirvanic energy enveloped the golden light within the clouds, releasing a power that could destroy everything. Burn. It burned furiously. All the living creatures in the gods' martial continent trembled. Everyone stared at the 9 layers of vortex in the sky. Could this calamity be completely destroyed? Everyone was praying. A few seconds later, a crack appeared in the sky and it suddenly exploded. Thick clouds completely exploded. In this instant, Song Qianqian's eyes became excited. Did it work? Did you block the storm? He definitely succeeded. Sister Jojo, you are too great. You are the greatest. From now on, you will be the big sister, ha ha ha. Xiao Tiantian was so excited that she was dancing with joy. The cloud layer exploded, and all of the power disappeared. This meant that the power of tribulation had been neutralized. Everyone in God's martial continent started to cheer. Ha ha ha. We're still alive. He managed to withstand the tribulation. It's good to be alive. The power of that fire was so strong that it seemed as though the sky would burn through it. To anyone, it felt like they had been reborn. This feeling was indescribable, and the pressure on their heart was heavily felt. In the air, Jojo smiled, looking at the surrounding force dissipating, she smiled. But, in this instant, Yuna suddenly shouted loudly, "Sister Jojo, be careful." Boom. A golden light crushed down and directly smashed into Jojo's abdomen. With a heavy blow, Jojo's body plummeted to the ground as blood sprayed out from his mouth. In that instant, the sky was golden, and the thick clouds had disappeared. However, the disappearance of the clouds did not mean that the calamity had disappeared. They were concealing themselves above the clouds, not wanting others to see them. Now that the clouds had dispersed, there was no need for them to hide anything. All of them were clad in golden armor. It was the same golden color. This was not a boss, not some powerhouse. The aura on their bodies was exactly the same as the person who controlled the golden armor of laws that Long Fei met in the underworld. God's general. The controller of sky law. Sister Jojo. Jojo. Eldest sister-in-law. Everyone seemed to have gone crazy at this moment. He was completely stupefied. He couldn't react in time. The high and mighty God's general in the sky had a cold expression and no trace of pity in their eyes. One of the God's generals said coldly, "How can a little ant fight against the heavens? You overestimate yourself." Voices filled the entire God's martial continent. All of a sudden, everyone fell from heaven to hell in an instant. Heavens. They were the God's general. They represented the heavens. Everyone felt despair in their hearts. Who in this world could contend against the heavens? Save us. Who's going to save us? Miserable wails rang out. In the air above the Dragon Palace, Jojo no longer had the strength to defend against any attacks. Once released, she would die too. *CK your ancestors. Xiao Bai and the ice flame suddenly rushed forward. Boom. Boom. 2 streams of power pierced through their bodies, heavily crushing the ground and rendering them unable to move. You're just an ant. Ah. Dao Ba, Wang Qingshan and the rest disregarded everything and rushed forward. Rumble. A stream of power was like a palm that blasted down. Before they could fly up, they were all squashed to the ground, unable to move at all. You're just an ant. Song Qianqian rushed towards Jojo as she wanted to hug him. Not waiting for her to rush up. A surge of power came crashing down, causing all of them to kneel on the ground. A bunch of ants. Everyone looked at Jojo. Jojo fell from the sky, her body still burning like paper. Her body was getting smaller and smaller, until it was almost burnt out. Just when everyone was in despair, a figure landed, and a power held Jojo back. Not afraid of the flames, she tightly hugged Jojo. The corner of Jojo's mouth curled up, and lightly smiled. "Young Master Long Fei, you're here." Chapter 11:16 MIS All. Chapter 11:16 MIS All. The one who came was Long Fei. "I'm late. I'm sorry." Long Fei looked at Jojo's burning body and his heart ached. Jojo shook his head from his embrace and said with a smile, "It's not too late, it's not too late." Laughing. As he smiled happily, it was the first time Jojo had enjoyed the feeling of being in Long Fei's embrace. This feeling was really good, so good that she had to pay for it with everything she had, including her life. Her life slowly weakened, her consciousness became fainter. His face was filled with happiness as he said in a weak voice while looking at Long Fei, "Young Master, I still want to be your servant in the next life. Do you still want me to be your Jojo?" Yes, yes. Long Fei sobbed uncontrollably, feeling unspeakably uncomfortable in his heart. TL, Ua, He never gave Jojo anything. Jojo was the first person to help him when he arrived in this world. He was the first to take care of him and the first to feel sorry for him. Jojo giggled and said, "Pull the hook." He stretched out his pinky. Long Fei reached out her pinky to catch it. However, not waiting for him to hook onto Jojo's pinky ignited and slowly burned into nothingness. Long Fei still hooked onto it, and said silently, "Pull the pinky, don't change, in 100 years, you're just a puppy." Jojo's arm drooped down, and crazily burned. It was like a paper man. She looked at Long Fei with a face full of happiness, and muttered to Long Fei, "Young Master, I will definitely meet you again in the next life." As soon as he finished, she gently closed her eyes, hugged her with all his might, but the closer he got to Jojo, the faster he disappeared, as if he was grabbing onto sand. "No, no, no, no!" Long Fei shouted with all his might. "Sister Jojo! Sister Jojo! Jojo!" Everyone shouted out loud, and a voice resounded in the air, "Goodbye." Boom. The flames soared into the sky and Jojo's body instantly disappeared in Long Fei's embrace. At this moment, a crystal-clear phoenix tears dropped from the sky. A phoenix tears after nirvana. Landing in Long Fei's hands, Long Fei quietly looked at the phoenix tears, and muttered, "Jojo, I will definitely let you come back to life, I definitely will." Since he could rebirth, he would definitely be reborn. It was just that. Nirvana rebirth required luck, and it was not something that could be reborn after the rebirth. Finished. Long Fei clenched his hands tightly, holding the phoenix tears tightly in his palm. He carefully placed it inside the space ring, then raised his eyes again, and looked at the cold expressions of the gods general in the sky. His anger reached the top of his head. Buzz. With his strength ignited, Long Fei's entire body was engulfed by a burning flame. He stared at a god's general in the sky and asked solemnly, "You touched my woman?" The god's general said coldly, "You think you can stop the sky law? Just based on ants?" She was asking for it. "Long Fei, your dragon race has committed a grave crime by stealing main artifact S. They are punished by the heavens once every 3 million years and this is the last time. If you can't withstand it, the dragon race will be removed from the list of the 100,000 wild universe S, never to be reborn. The gods' martial continent you are in will be turned into ashes." Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Why should I?" God's general's consciousness exploded all of a sudden, as he said seriously, "We represent the heavens, we represent everything. Do you dare to oppose the heavens? Do you dare to go against the heavens? Against the heavens? Against the heavens?" Long Fei muttered 2 sentences at the corner of his mouth, and said slightly, Why would I not dare? If the heavens want me to die, then I will destroy the heavens. If the heavens want me to die, then I'll let him die first. Let's see who's the king first. The aura on Long Fei's body became unbridled and arrogant to the extreme. The god's general was also enraged. He shouted, "You dare to say such arrogant words? Are you trying to oppose the heavens? You overestimate yourself. Everything in the world was under the control of the heavens. Be it the warriors, demon beast, or ordinary people, they were all under the control of the heavens. Who could stand above the heavens? Since ancient times, there had never been a single person in the universe. Going against the heavens was beyond redemption. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." Long Fei laughed out crazily. "You overestimate yourself, right? Then I'll let you know what it means to overestimate yourself." Boom. He took a step forward. Long Fei's figure turned into a ball of light and rose from the ground, instantly charging into the sky. "So what if you're a god? If you want to provoke me, then I, the 18 generations of my ancestors, will also take care of it." His right hand moved. Buzz. The absolute god slash of the true dragon landed in his hand. Without waiting for the god's general to react, the blade in his hand slashed down crazily. Every stroke was executed with full force. Every blade strike landed heavily on God's general's body. In mid-air, golden light shot in all directions, as tens of thousands of lights burst out like an explosion, illuminating the air above the god's martial continent. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, everyone was staring at the battle in mid-air, their hearts tightly intertwined. Many of them knelt on the ground and silently prayed. He prayed that this calamity would quickly pass. Pray for Long Fei to defeat these gods general. Ah! Ah! The absolute god slash of the true dragon in Long Fei's hands attacked crazily, roared, and firmly crushed God's general, not giving him any chance to retaliate. However, no matter what power Long Fei used, no matter how hard he tried, the damage that floated above God's general's head was a mass, and not a single bit of it appeared. It was impossible to chop. It was like a slash on the unbreakable body. Long Fei's attack power could not break the god's general's defense at all. Not at all. 10,000 slashes is miss. 100,000 slashes, 1,000,000 slashes was still an miss. What kind of existence was the god's general? The heaven's messenger. His strength was indescribable. How could he be his opponent? How could a mortal fight against a god? An ant is always an ant. If I let you bombard me for a year, you wouldn't be able to kill me, the god's general coldly said, without even a disdainful tone, because Long Fei did not even have the qualifications to make him feel disdain. From start to finish, they had never placed Long Fei in their eyes. Even if Long Fei suddenly attacked, the other gods general did not help, because they knew Long Fei could not kill God's general at all. No one could kill them. This was because they were the heaven's messenger. He was invincible. From the sky to the ground, Long Fei fought with all his might to the sky. Dragon's force. The power of primordial chaos. Unparalleled, he had used all he could, but no, absolutely not. It couldn't even break the god's general's defense. God's general coldly said, "You little ant, it should be my turn now, right?" Chapter 11:17, This Daddy's Turn. Chapter 11:17, This Daddy's Turn. As soon as his voice faded, God's general's body flashed with a golden light. Without waiting for Long Fei's response. Boom. Bang. With a loud sound, Long Fei was instantly shot down from the sky. Rumble. The dragon hall had been smashed down by him, and one dragon totem after another fell down. The entire Dragon Domain mountain range had been turned into ashes, and the entire Nantian region was swept up by the torrential waves. One move killed millions of kilometers. Extremely cruel. However, there was not a single trace of cruelty in his eyes. No matter how many people died, even if he killed billions of people in the entire God's martial continent, he would not blink or frown. They are high gods. A supercilious god. He was a god who viewed all living creatures as ants. What was a mere human worth? Rumble. Rumble. A series of explosions could be heard from afar. Song Qianqian and the others were also forced to lie on the ground by the powerful shockwave. Ice and Fire had enormous wings that wrapped around them. His wings looked like a huge rag. He couldn't even fly now. Boss. Big brother Long Fei. Long Fei. Everyone rushed towards the ruins where Xiong Longfei was buried. Hum, hum, hum. It seems as though this year's forces are the weakest against the storm. It's far worse than the last 2 times. I had thought that the dragon warrior would appear during the 3rd calamity, but now it seems that they are just a bunch of arrogant, overconfident ants. The dragon clan is going to die. This is what they deserve. Provoking others is not good, yet provoking the heavens and stealing the main artifact, isn't this seeking death? Forget it. Don't waste our time, just let that main artifact and this plane disappear together. This way, the 100,000 planes will have less conflict. The main artifact must not be revealed. No matter what plane the main artifact was in, it could still cause a huge impact. This was precisely the reason why Divinity had such a huge dispute with this item. And this time, Long Fei opened the main artifact, startling the 100,000 planes. Chaos Realm. Azura Realm. Then there was the Divinity, the first of the 3 planes to bear the brunt of the attack. Especially the Divinity, where the ultimate god was killed and the main artifact opened up in the heart of the Divinity. And that's why the Divinity's ancient battlefield suddenly opened. How many powerhouse would be involved in this? How many powerhouse would be excited because of the main artifact? The consequences are incalculable. Thus, we absolutely cannot let the main artifact appear again. Even if we destroy it, we cannot let it appear again. This was the reason why they had come to God's martial continent this time. Within the ruins, Long Fei looked at the darkness, unable to move an inch, and was about to kill him in one move. It was too uncomfortable. He was not a match for God's general at all. What should we do? What should we do? What other power do I have? What kind of power can contend against God's general? What kind of power is it? Long Fei's mind was spinning. He thought crazily. He crazily checked the system, over and over again, but he couldn't find any energy that could resist the God's general. Not at all. The God's general was simply too strong. Give up. Are we really going to accept our fate? Long Fei asked himself in his heart. Clenching his fists tightly, even with his nails digging into his flesh, it was as if he did not feel any pain. Suddenly, he punched fiercely and roared loudly. There is no such thing as give up in my dictionary. Rumble. Ruins exploded. Long Fei stood up, he stared at the sky, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. The idea moved. Main artifact. Target locked. Boom. The dragon coffin was summoned by Long Fei, but its energy had been reduced to its lowest, and it no longer had any energy left. Ding. There's not enough energy to use the main gun. The 5 domain treasures could only be used once. Main artifact consumed too much energy. However, Long Fei already knew this. He did not think about starting the main gun's attack either. Staring at the high and mighty God's general in the sky, he said darkly, "If you dare touch my woman, I will destroy your 18 generations of ancestors. If you dare to touch my brother, I will fuck your ancestors for 18 generations. If you dare to touch my Nantian region, I will destroy your 18 generations of ancestors. In short, I, your father, will overturn 18 generations of your ancestors." The killing intent on his body exploded crazily. The God's general's gaze turned cold as he icily asked, "You're just an ant, who gave you that courage?" "With just you. Humph. I can crush you with my little finger. What qualifications do you have to fight with me? What's the use of a strong mouth?" However, the God's general squinted his eyes and laughed coldly. "You have successfully angered me, so you are going to die right now." As soon as he finished, his figure disappeared. In this instant, Long Fei grabbed with his right hand, treating the main artifact dragon coffin like a stick. His body slightly sank, gritted his teeth, and muttered, "Success or not, will depend on this time." This was the only method Long Fei could think of. Super Saiyang. Boom. Long Fei transformation. Level 10. Boom. The skill of the barbarian king. The barbarian king rushes. Fall for me. Boom, boom, boom. Long Fei's body released a bloody golden light, and waves after waves of roars sounded out from within Long Fei's body, as his entire person entered into a state of immunity to death. He had to bear it. Take on one of God's general's attacks, using this as the price, and then when you have the chance to attack him. Whoosh, whoosh. Come on. Come up and bite me. Long Fei roared, his right hand tightly holding onto the dragon coffin, waiting for the God's general's attack to come. At this moment, Long Fei's heart was incomparably calm. He had never been as calm as he was now. You're just an ant. You are far inferior to the dragon ancestors. Go to hell. As soon as his voice faded, a powerful energy enveloped Long Fei's entire body and smashed down heavily. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch as his health point crazily decreased. But he just wouldn't die. The rank 1 skill of the barbarian king had a duration of 1 minute. Regardless of what situation he encountered, he would not die during this 1 minute. Long Fei stood in place safe and sound, the corners of his mouth curled up with an ice-cold smile. Everyone was shocked, including those God's generals. Why? Then how many times can you take it? Long Fei stood on the spot and allowed him to attack her, and he wouldn't die even if he were to die. God's general. Envoy of heaven. Heavenly God. I think all of you are just a pile of dog shit, Long Fei said in disdain. At this moment, the God's general landed and slapped Xiong Long Fei. In that instant, Long Fei's pupils moved, and the main artifact dragon coffin behind him smashed down, as he said in extreme excitement, "It's my turn." Chapter 11:18 Killing, 1 billion experience points. Chapter 11:18 Killing, 1 billion experience points. It had always been an attack from high up in the air. Long Fei's speed could not keep up. He had to wait for the God's general to land and attack him. Long Fei was very clear in his heart that God's general would not be able to endure the scorn and ridicule, and he would definitely be angered by himself. Moreover, anyone would feel uncomfortable with the barbarian king's death immunity. If it was Long Fei, he too would be affected. Just as God's general was about to rush down, Long Fei made his move. He used all his strength on this move. There was only one power that could kill God's general, and that was the power of the heavens above them. Since the main artifact was from the heavens, then it definitely contained a powerful power. Of course, Long Fei had guessed all of these things. He was not sure if it would be effective at all. But this was his last strike. If he didn't succeed, there would only be one result: death. The dragon coffin slashed down like an axe. The God's general sneered, "With your little strength." He had never thought of dodging at all, because he despised all powers. There was no power that could kill them, unless it was the power of their master. However, he hadn't finished speaking. The dragon coffin smashed down. Rumble. Rumble. With a huge burst of power, the God's general was like a wooden stake, firmly nailing him to the ground and spitting out a large mouthful of blood. The golden armor on his body was torn apart. Just a moment ago, a scarlet number floated above God's general's head. 999, 999, 9999, almost 100 million points of damage. Explosion. The God's general was instantly stunned, his eyes angrily opened as he stared at Long Fei, unable to react at all. Because it was simply too unbelievable, no one in his body could break through his defense. No one could harm him. How could this be? My defense can't be destroyed by a mere ant. When he was truly stunned, Long Fei laughed, and stood in front of God's general. The dragon coffin in his hands moved again, and smashed down hard. "Aren't you arrogant?" Rumble. 999, 999, 9999, aren't you God's general? Rumble. 999, 999, 9999, aren't you the high and mighty heavenly oracle? Rumble. 999, 999, 9999, aren't you smug? Didn't you want to kill me? Now come and kill me. Long Fei was arrogant and unrestrained, the dragon coffin in his hands crazily smashed down, like a violent storm, not giving God's general any time to catch his breath. Again and again. He roared again and again, but the anger in Long Fei's heart was vented. Everyone was shocked. Even the god's general floating in the air was confused. He couldn't react in time. How did he become like this all of a sudden? Something was wrong with the plot. How can a mortal fight against a god? How could a lowly ant crush a god? Is the world crazy? Long Fei. Boss. Too powerful. This scene was indescribably shocking. That god's general's Sha*T had even been forced out. He was completely unable to endure Long Fei's attack. Consecutive attacks. The god's general was smashed like a dead dog by Long Fei. Long Fei grabbed his hair and raised him into the air, then said solemnly, "I said I would flatten you." God's general spurted out a mouthful of blood as he looked at Long Fei and said, You, if you dare kill me, heaven will not forgive you. You ant, do you dare? If you kill me, the entire god's martial continent will pay the price. Do you dare? If you kill me, there are still dozens of gods general waiting. Any one of them can cause this world to be beyond redemption. He was not afraid at all. Because he was a high and mighty god's general. Since when was god's general afraid of mortals? Long Fei's lips curled up, and said with a cold smile, "Seems like you don't understand me. Do you know what my motto in life is? Don't be afraid, just do it." You're asking me if I dare. I'm very sorry, there is nothing that I, Long Fei, do not dare to do. And I hate it when people threaten me the most. As soon as he finished, Long Fei raised the dragon coffin in his hand. Buzz. When he unleashed his power, the god's general's eyes flashed. He could feel a strong killing intent from Long Fei and felt death approaching. He was just like a normal person. They were also afraid of death. God's general began to struggle and shout loudly, save me, quickly save me, you guys, quickly save me." He was scared. Even gods have moments of fear. Ha ha ha. Long Fei coldly started to despise him, and roared out, "Even the heavenly emperor himself can't save you, go and die for me." The dragon coffin in his hand smashed down. Boom. Golden light shot in all directions, causing God's general's body to crack. Bam. Crack. Crack. The pieces of his body fell to the ground like gold. The golden light spread in all directions, but in the instant they fell to the ground, they turned into a pile of dust. In less than a minute, a god's general was killed. Long Fei raised his eyes, and shouted, "Nex." It was also at this time. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's General for obtaining 1 billion experience, power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. There was only one prompt. Long Fei cursed in his heart, "System, damn you, are you telling me that you got destroyed by the main artifact again? God's General. God's General, you aren't even going to give me anything? F***ku, immortal." However, Long Fei looked at the experience gained from killing God's General and felt his scalp tingle. 1 trillion experience, what af***k. If I had killed this God's General when I was at level 1, I would have directly soared into the great complete realm. I should have tried it when I was in the infernal realm. If he had tried to do so at that time, Long Fei would have died 18,000 times over. Long Fei took a look at the experience trough. What's the use of giving me more experience now? 1 trillion experience is useless. Long Fei could no longer level up anymore. Moreover, the experience he had gained was completely useless. However, with 1 trillion experience points added up, the experience bar started glowing red, as if it was burning energy. Ding. System notification. Player's experience has entered a burning state. Heavenly tribulation may descend at any time. Ding. System notification. Please prepare yourself. Ding. The system continuously flashed with red light. This is a danger alarm. F***ck, lousy killed a God's General, so why don't you give me a heavenly tribulation that could descend at any time? System, do you have no but? I can't. I want to flip these God's General over first. Long Fei made up his mind. The dragon coffin in his hand pointed and shouted, "Who's next?" At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding. The time for the barbarian king to charge is over. This is bad. Chapter 11:19 Power of Purification. Chapter 11:19 Power of Purification. The barbarian king was immune to death. It was precisely because of this that Long Fei was able to kill a god's general just now. However, now that the barbarian king's attack had disappeared, he could not withstand a single blow from the god's general. Zhongya gold body. This cultivation technique was useless because it could not attack. Barbarian king card. This would also not do, because he could not use Dragon Coffin S to attack the god's general. What should we do? Long Fei's expression did not change, but instead became even stronger, and suddenly shouted, "Who the hell is next? Come out for your father. Isn't it a calamity? Didn't you want to kill us? Come out now. Acting cool? Then pretend to be dead. Do these gods general know what is called LOL? Do you know what is considered the ultimate move of the barbarian king?" Obviously, they didn't know. Since they didn't know, then they just didn't understand why Long Fei wasn't injured just now. They wouldn't know that Long Fei's barbarian king Bash had lost its power to death. Thus, Long Fei wanted to gamble. They didn't know, neither did Song Qianqian and Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai also roared out, and shouted, "Aren't you all gods? Did he submit? If you have the guts, come down and do it." Ha ha ha. Bastard. Who's an ant now? You are the ants. You cowards want to act so arrogantly here? Don't you know who our boss is? If you have the guts, come down and do it. One was more arrogant than the other. Each was more domineering than the last. Their words made Long Fei's heart tremble. His heart was bitter. If I really come down, I will be tricked to death by you pig of a teammate. However, there was no longer any need to turn back. Long Fei had no other choice. He could only act arrogantly to the end. The gods General S were terrified, because they had never encountered such a situation before, and no one had ever been able to kill them. Long Fei's death. Furthermore, what exactly was the explosive power of the dragon coffin in his hands? No one can kill us. Who is this person? Is he really from the dragon clan? Why doesn't he have a dragon blood vein in his body? What is that huge sarcophagus? There is only one kind of power that can kill us, and that is the power of the heavens. I'm afraid that what he has in his hands is the main artifact S who break through all shackles. Very quickly, all the gods General S stared at the dragon coffin in Long Fei's hands. They couldn't feel any energy fluctuations at all. Because of this, they were even more certain that the dragon coffin was the main artifact. They could not sense any power unless it was a power that was above them. Facing Long Fei's arrogance and the ridicule from Xiao Bai and the others, many gods general were startled. One of the gods general shouted, "Heaven's might cannot be desecrated. These people have already committed a capital offense, this plane must be punished, and even the 100,000 planes must know the consequences of provoking the heavens. As Oracle, we cannot allow the heavens to be insulted in any way. What's more, the main artifact in his hands will bring about some imbalance to the entire wild universe. With the start of the primordial divine war, the main temple will definitely be in turmoil, and might even reshuffle. This matter needs to be taken seriously." In an instant, many gods general quickly discussed and obtained a common conclusion. The result was, Long Fei had to die, and the gods' martial continent had to die. Did not want the main artifact to cause any more ripples, otherwise, all sorts of uncontrollable accidents would happen on the ancient god battlefield. This was not what main temple wanted to see. Their duty was to clear all obstacles for the main temple. While they were talking, a god's general flew out and coldly stared at Long Fei. "To insult the heavens in front of us, Long Fei, you have already committed a heinous crime. You and your people and the entire gods' martial continent must be punished. Sky law." Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Why are you spouting so much nonsense? Wasn't it just to find an excuse to start a war? You don't need to *king beat around the bush. If you have the guts, then just fight this old man. Is this old man afraid of you?" The god's general laughed coldly and said, "Do you think that killing a god's general will allow you to go against the rules? Long Fei, you overestimate yourself. You are still a dead ant in our eyes. Do you understand? Bear with it. Suddenly, the god's general returned to his original position. Next, golden light flashed in the entire sky, forming an enormous power. This power brought with it an aura of destruction and destruction. However, in the eyes of the god's general and the rest, this was not called the power of destruction, but rather it was called the power of purification, the power to purify everything. He directly purified everything on the god's martial continent. Rumble. Rumble. Rays of energy collapsed, space split apart, time and space split apart, and the power of laws also collapsed. Deep in the mountains, the demon beast was wildly scurrying and roaring, as if it had gone mad. Earth core power was gushing out from the depths of the earth. Space and time were warping, every warrior's cultivation realm was warping, everything on God's martial continent was undergoing a drastic change. He couldn't withstand this kind of purification power. Boss, the earth is moving. The entire Nantian region was quickly moving. Long Fei, power is disappearing crazily. The spiritual aura is disappearing. The power of law is disappearing. The power in our own bodies is also disappearing. Long Fei and the others are trying to purify the entire God's martial continent. Long Fei also felt it. The earth was moving crazily, its power was chaotic and uncontrollable. This was even more intense than the end of the world. Long Fei looked up into the sky, his body moved, and the dragon coffin in his hands fiercely smashed down. Golden light overflowed in all directions as he was bounced off. The purifying power that comprised of over 30 gods General S was extremely strong. Even if Long Fei had the main artifact S, he would still not be able to blast them apart in a short period of time. Moreover, the main artifact was not used like Long Fei at all. If there was a main gun, it could be destroyed with a single shot. But now, Long Fei gritted his teeth. Fen Tian, I'm sorry. He placed the absolute dragon divine saber into the dragon coffin S. I need main gun to destroy them. Bring it on. Open the main gun. Buzz. Ding. The main gun's energy is filled, the third floor is open. Only open the third level. Damn. Long Fei burst out in vulgarities, and poured all of the holy artifact S he had into the dragon coffin S. These holy artifact did not even manage to react in time to a fart. There wasn't even a single increase in energy level. This was Long Fei's last hope. If the energy filled could not be raised to the 5th floor, then the main gun could not be opened. Long Fei's last hope had been dashed. He could not think of any other way to fight against the gods general. Am I going to lose? Do I have to resign myself to my fate? Long Fei looked up at the sky, his eyes turned sinister as he looked at the brothers, women, and friends behind him. He looked at the Nantian region, everything that was happening there. Long Fei clenched his teeth, gently exhaled, and muttered, I'm going all out. Chapter 11:20 The Descent of the Celestial Tribulation. Chapter 11:20 The Descent of the Celestial Tribulation. If he wasn't crazy, how would he become a devil? If he wasn't arrogant, how could he rule the world? If he wasn't crazy, then what was the point of living? To a transcender, Long Fei earned more from living every single day. He wanted to be crazy, wanted to be crazy, wanted to live endlessly, and wanted to be crazy non-stop. God's martial continent was about to collapse. The power of purification was too strong. The power of the main artifact could not be unleashed. Long Fei. There was no choice. He had already stepped into a desperate situation. There was no turning back, and he had no choice. He could only move forward, forward, and forward again. At this moment, Long Fei took a step into the sky, and amidst the purifying power, his eyes swept across those high and mighty so-called gods. Long Fei laughed coldly. God? Gods general? Heavens. Heavens. In my eyes, these are just obstacles. If a god wants to stop me, then I will kill a god. If the heavens want to stop me, then I will destroy the heavens. Long Fei roared. His aura exploded forth. How dare a little ant act so arrogantly? How dare you overestimate yourself? An ant. Tremble for us, you and everything else will be turned to ash, and everything will disappear from this world forever. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The gods' general started laughing. In order to not let the main artifact reappear, they did not hesitate to kill all the billions of lives in the entire gods' martial continent. There was no pity in their eyes. Is this a god? Maybe. However, this was also a world where people ate people. It was the same for gods. As long as one was strong enough, gods would also eat humans. Rumble. Suddenly, the vortex in the sky continued to spin, and an endless amount of power surged out in all directions. Yuna's expression changed as she shouted loudly, "Big brother Long Fei, don't. You can't take it." The power that was overflowing from the sky caused people to feel a chill in their hearts. Song Qianqian immediately asked, "Yuna, what power is it?" Tears streamed down Yuna's face as she continuously shouted, "Big brother Long Fei, don't." Linglong was also anxious. "What kind of power is it? Hurry up and tell me." Yuna's voice trembled as she said, "Heavenly Tribulation. Big brother Long Fei wants to summon the power of Heavenly Tribulation. He wants to use the gods' suffering force to deal with those gods' general S. The Heavenly Tribulation?" Zong Tianya's eyes darkened, and said, "In these millions of years, no one has succeeded. The warriors in the gods' martial continent are like being cursed. No matter how strong your talent is, or how pure your cultivation is, no one can succeed in the face of heavenly tribulation. 51% is an existence that is not turned into dust. Long Fei, don't act recklessly." Senior brother Long Fei. Heavenly tribulation. What a terrifying word. In God's martial continent, it was like an unbreakable shackle that firmly pressed down on every single warrior's heart. No one could decipher it. No one could break through it. No matter how strong you cultivate, how much stronger your body is, how strong the blood vein, facing the god's suffering force, your body will instantly crack like a chicken and a dog. This was because heavenly tribulation was unshakable. Moreover, Long Fei walked on the killing path. He had killed too many people along the way, so the heavenly tribulation he summoned with his power would be even more intense. Furthermore, he had just killed off the god's general, so the power of the heavenly tribulation was unstoppable. He would definitely not let Long Fei succeed in his tribulation. No doubt about it. If heavenly tribulation was that easy to overcome, then there wouldn't be so many flying fairy strongermen in this world who didn't dare to face the heavenly tribulation. Long Fei was clear on this point. The Demon Emperor's tomb explained everything. However, he knew that this was a dead end, but his death could save Song Qianqian, save Xiao Bai, save the leopard girl, save everyone around him, and save the entire God's martial continent. Long Fei was willing to pay with his life. Long Fei had never been a good person. This time, he did not do it to save God's martial continent, but to save his brothers and women. His eyes turned vicious. He looked at the power that erupted from above the ninth heaven. The system rang out once again. Ding. System notification. Will the player please confirm if you wish to summon divine retribution? Ding. System notification. Player's health point is too low, success rate is not even 1%, player please choose carefully. System, if you care about my life or death. Ha ha ha. Less than 1%. Even if it's less than 1 in 10,000, I will still summon the divine retribution. Long Fei's heart sank. He swept a glance at the surrounding gods general and coldly laughed. If you want to touch my people, you don't have the qualifications. Bring it on. Long Fei roared in his heart, and the idea confirmed. Summon heavenly tribulation. Buzz. A loud buzzing sound could be heard in the sky. At this moment, Han Ba, who had always been in war pet space, suddenly spoke out. "Brat, do you want to die?" Long Fei released the giant demons, Lei Mo, and even the Yang Huang ancestor. Only he ignored this Han Ba. Hearing Han Ba's voice, Long Fei was slightly stunned, then laughed. "Han Ba, are you afraid? Aren't you rather unreasonable? Are you afraid now?" Han Ba's voice sank as he shouted, "Kid, respect my words. Let your grandpa go. Your elder is disrespectful, what's wrong?" The moment Long Fei's temper flared up, he had even confirmed the summoning of the heavenly tribulation. What was there to be afraid of? He didn't even want his life. What was he afraid of? Afraid of Han Ba betraying him? Long Fei didn't even give him a chance to betray her. Han Ba's voice sunk as he said in a heavy voice, You'll know the consequences of your actions later. Just wait for your death. Long Fei scolded, even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Aren't you strong? Wasn't it the god of calamity? I just won't let you out. Han Ba. There was really nothing he could do. If Long Fei did not let him go, he would really die together with Long Fei. However, if Long Fei did not let him go, he simply could not break this shackle. At this moment, rumble. The sky exploded, and the power of heavenly tribulation spread out, covering the entire God's martial continent. It was exactly as Zhong Tianai had expected. Long Fei trained in the way of death, and the God's suffering force he summoned became ever so strong that it was impossible for him to endure. Long Fei was extremely excited. The more powerful he was, the more excited he became. Long Fei stared at the dumbstruck God's general. Aren't you all awesome? Let's see if you guys are awesome, or if your heavenly tribulation powers are awesome. As soon as he finished, Long Fei followed Warrior, who was holding a bag of explosives, and rushed into the group of enemies. At this moment, the kitchen knife cut the wire, and sparks flew along the way. How cool. Long Fei felt as if his entire body had exploded as he rushed into the crowd of God's generals. Come, let's go through the tribulation together, ha ha ha. Madness. Heavenly tribulation descending. Chapter 11:21 Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 11:21 Heavenly Tribulation. Tribulation and celestial tribulation are stronger. If they didn't try, no one would know. Long Fei's movements could be said to be 10,000 times crazier than a madman's. Others could only sit cross-legged and wait for heavenly tribulation to descend one after another. But it really was a kitchen knife chopping down wires, and it was even chopping down high-voltage electricity. What? Sitting cross-legged and waiting for the heavenly tribulation to descend? What he wanted was to break the rules. At this moment, he no longer cared about his own life or death. What he wanted to do was to drag those arrogant God's general into hell with him. This was what he wanted to do. The purifying powers released by the God's general were still quickly circulating. Seeing Long Fei rushing over, they were all dumbstruck. What does he want? Kid, what are you trying to do? We are the oracle of the heavens, we don't have the strength to deal with me. All of them were still very arrogant and proud. Long Fei shrugged, looked at the first divine tribulation flying down from the sky, smirked and said, I don't want to do anything either, I just want to kill all of you. That's all. As soon as he finished, Long Fei rushed forward and crazily roared, Come, let's see whether your oracle's power is stronger or your power is stronger. Ha ha ha. Crash. With a loud bang, the sky shattered. A powerful force from above the 9 heavens struck down, slicing through the 9 heavens. Rumble. It brought with it a destructive power, an endless amount of tempering power, and also the might of the heavens. The power of fury bombarded down. Rumble. Rumble. Cracks appeared in all directions in the sky, and dazzling bolts of lightning covered the sky. Boom. One of the God's generals widened his eyes, glancing down at Long Fei, he roared out, Ah! Crack. The golden body was penetrated, creating a huge hole. His body trembled rapidly as his eyes turned white. He mumbled something under his breath. No one knew what he was talking about. Then, his body fell from the sky. Ha ha ha. Awesome. The God's envoy. Ha ha ha. All of you are just a pile of dog shit. Long Fei was extremely excited. Tribulation and heavenly tribulation. The celestial tribulation had become even more powerful. It was just that. Without waiting for Long Fei's laughter to fade, the God's suffering force, after piercing through one of the heavenly tribulation's bodies, instantly smashed onto the top of his head. Rumble. The force of the punch was irresistible. There was no power that could resist the God's suffering force. Long Fei also hadn't thought of resisting. No matter how strong you were, a cool breeze blew across the mountain ridges. You are free to do whatever you want, and the moon shines on the river. The power of the heavenly tribulation is unstoppable, so it's impossible for Long Fei to use his defense to block it. His sea of consciousness flipped, and Long Fei's Yuan Long's body instantly shattered. The independent defense of the dragon's force instantly collapsed. When his sea of consciousness reached his mind, this short half-second felt like a century's time. His mind exploded with a heavy thunder that went through all the meridians and meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and finally the meridians, and finally the meridians, and finally the meridians, the meridians. Long Fei's eyes were trembling. His body was trembling. This kind of power was too terrifying. Phut! After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Long Fei's body heavily sank down, and fiercely straightened his legs the instant he bent to reveal his bloody teeth as he laughed. "Your father isn't dead yet. Ha ha ha. Come again. Ha ha ha." Crazy. He was completely mad. The entire God's martial continent was stunned as they looked at Long Fei in a daze. The people behind him were even more confused. Using heavenly tribulation to unleash a calamity, such a method was something only a perverted madman would think of, and Long Fei actually blocked the first heavenly tribulation's attack. This was too unbelievable. The God's general was dead, but he was fine. This was because this was Long Fei's heavenly tribulation, not the God's general's. Any power that resisted the heavenly tribulation would be crushed. If the heavenly tribulation was summoned, no one would be able to dodge it. The God's generals were all dumbstruck. Is this person crazy? Speed up the purification speed. As long as we can purify this trash plane before he succeeds in transcending the tribulation, then even if he summons more celestial tribulation, it won't be of any use. Quick, quick, quick. Hurry up. Immediately. The God's general quickly reacted, speeding up the circulation speed of the purifying power. He would purify the God's martial continent as much as possible before Long Fei could. That way, Long Fei wouldn't even need to go through the tribulation, and he would directly turn into ashes. However, Long Fei went crazy and did not care about his life. The second heavenly tribulation descended. Long Fei grinned, looked at the heavenly tribulations in the sky that had once again released all of their strength, and said, "Exalted God's General, have you ever eaten candied fruits of ice?" A God's General was startled, and asked, "What is a candied fruit?" "Ignore him. Increase our speed. Brat, you don't have much time, your entire God's martial continent will be purified." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei shouted excitedly, and said, "The frozen sugar gourd is here." Long Fei's figure moved, he suddenly rushed to a point, raised his head and looked at the sky, and thought, as expected. The celestial tribulation was unavoidable. No matter where it hid, it would not be able to escape. Crack, crack, crack. A series of loud sounds could be heard as a beam of light penetrated through several God's generals' bodies like a string of candied fruits. All of them had a hole blasted out by the heavenly tribulation. A few God's generals fell from the sky. Long Fei said excitedly, "Did you see that? This is the bottle gourd string." At the same time, Long Fei's body sank. Rumble. Another explosion occurred right above his head. A surge of power blasted into his sea of consciousness. This heavenly tribulation was twice as powerful as the previous one, making it even more powerful. Could it be that it has multiplied? F***ck. Under the heavy pressure of strength, Long Fei burst out with a curse, roaring towards the sky, "You want me to kneel? Even if you had the strength of 18 generations of your ancestors, I still wouldn't be able to do that. I won't kneel. Come on, come on. Use your stronger strength to hit me." Long Fei was like a crazed devil. The second wave of power blocked the attack with all its might, causing both his mind and consciousness to tremble. How many such powers were there? Long Fei didn't know. He only knew that no one was able to make him kneel. How much power does heavenly tribulation have? Heavenly tribulation is divided into many different types. All seeds are different. The smallest is 9. The most is 81. 80, 81? Then Long Fei, he. Zong Tianai looked at Long Fei with deep respect in his heart. because no one had dared to summon out heavenly tribulation in the past millions of years. At the same time, he was also worried. Long Fei had caused too much killing. How many levels of heavenly tribulations did he have to endure? 81 lines, or more. Chapter 1122, Kid, Let Me Out. Chapter 1122, Kid, Let Me Out. With the heavenly tribulation activated, no one could stop it. There are two ways to stop. Either Long Fei succeeded in his tribulation, or Long Fei would die. Only these two possibilities would stop the celestial tribulation. However, Long Fei never thought that the heavenly tribulation would stop. If the God's general does not die, the heavenly tribulation cannot stop. Even if there was only one God's general left, his power was more than enough to destroy the entire God's martial continent. God's general, have you tasted the taste of watermelon before? Long Fei shouted. At this time, the hearts of the God's general sank, and they became a little afraid. At this moment, Long Fei took a step forward and suddenly appeared in front of a few God's general, laughing. Big watermelon, one cut. Rumble. The third wave of heavenly tribulation descended. The body of a celestial tribulation was split in half. Ha ha ha. The watermelon cut open the stomach. Rumble. Long Fei crashed down from the sky, his legs bent, his face gloomy and white, his hair black. Even if he had to kneel, make him lower his head. However, Long Fei stubbornly resisted, and did not lower his head, nor did he kneel. Boom, boom, boom. Phut. Unable to endure it any longer, Long Fei spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. His body sank slightly, and with great force, he flew into the air once again. Honestly, Long Fei was very unhappy. He was dissatisfied with the God's general, and even more dissatisfied with the heavenly tribulation. If one were to say that these God's general were so high and mighty, then this heavenly tribulation was like playing with people. To these God's general, this tribulation was but a toy to them. He could do whatever he wanted. Come on. Long Fei glared at him. Come again. Too arrogant. God's general thought Long Fei was talking about them. All of them were extremely unhappy. They had never encountered such a situation before, let alone being severely injured in such a low realm. In just a few short minutes, 6 God's generals had fallen. This was something that had never happened before. Even in the higher planes, it was impossible. This made the God's general extremely angry. Suddenly, a God's general flew out and shouted, "Kid, let's see how arrogant you can be." Buzz. The voice disappeared and a powerful force pressed down on Xiong Longfei. At this moment, the other celestial tribulation struck out as well. He let out a loud shout, "I have to kill you. We need to speed up the purification process." The other God's generals quickly circulated the power in their bodies. On the God's martial continent, there were constant cracks in the ground and volcanoes erupted, causing an enormous tsunami to engulf the entire shore. People continued to lose them. The purification was never broken. Long Fei sneered coldly, "Your father's arrogance is so great that even your mother cannot understand it. Let's see who kills who." Suddenly, Long Fei didn't have any form of defense at all, and rushed forward without caring about his life. Pay attention to the timing of the descent of the celestial tribulation. Long Fei's figure suddenly stopped. He sneered, "You two fools, go and die." Boom. Sky calamity exploded. With Long Fei at the center, all of the surrounding energy was instantly crushed as 2 God's generals fell from the sky. However, they did not die. He didn't die. Then let me replace it. Long Fei made a grabbing motion with his right hand while holding the dragon coffin in his hand, and then smashed it onto the 2 God's generals who were blasted down by the heavenly tribulation. At the same time, the God's suffering force exploded within Long Fei's body. The fourth, pain, was in unbearable pain. While spitting out blood and being enraged, the dragon coffin in his hands smashed onto the heads of the 2 God's generals again and again. Boom, boom, boom. Every time he used his full strength, the 2 God's generals would be smashed into pieces. Long Fei stomped his foot on their bloody heads and coldly said, "How arrogant are you trying to find me now?" He stomped heavily on the ground. Crack. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's General for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial and 10 energy values. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's General for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. 2 consecutive notifications sounded. Leaning on the dragon coffin on Long Fei's shoulder, all the muscles on his body expanded. Raising his eyes, he stared at the air as he howled out with incomparable arrogance, "Mother ****, who else is there? Don't give him a chance." As long as Long Fei seized this chance, he would never let it go. The God's General in the sky were even more furious. Long Fei's words and actions were an enormous humiliation to them, and the hearts of every single God's General were burning with fury. Don't act blindly without thinking. He's already seriously injured, he won't be able to get away for long. What we need to do is to purify this plane. If he likes to scream, let him. When releasing the purification power, you must pay attention to the sky and Long Fei's movements rules. We can't let him lead us by the nose again. God's General died one after another, they couldn't die anymore. If he were to die again, the purification power would weaken. At the same time, the God's General that spoke stared at the sky and muttered a few words that no one could understand. And then, the power of the 9 heavens and above was even more powerful, wreaking havoc everywhere. Han Ba suddenly said, "Then I am begging the heavens to send down an even more powerful heavenly tribulation, and also, the heavens even agreed to it." "Boy, how unlucky are you?" Long Fei said. "Han Ba, my bad luck is yours, do you think you can escape?" Han Ba. He was speechless again. Long Fei ignored him from the start. What Han Ba said was not wrong. After the 5th heavenly tribulation, their speed would double, and the power contained within would increase by several fold. Instantly, things changed. It struck right into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. He flipped over the sky and fell to the ground. This time Long Fei was too late to judge the speed at which the heavenly tribulation was falling, resulting in him being unable to react in time, as he was completely unable to endure the impact of this kind of power. Rumble. Long Fei's body sank, his legs crazily trembled, and he couldn't endure it any longer. "Senior brother Long Fei." Linglong gave a loud shout and turned into a vermilion bird, about to fly over. Long Fei immediately shouted out, "Don't come over, anyone." As long as they got close to him, they would be affected by the power of the heavenly tribulation. Even God's General wouldn't be able to resist it, let alone ordinary people like them. Long Fei could not let anyone else die. "I can't just watch as the people around me die." Thus, Long Fei could only carry it himself. The God's General looked at Long Fei, who was trembling and struggling to hold on, and revealed contemptuous smiles, saying, "Brat, you're even crazier. Fighting the heavens? Humph. Just a tiny ant like you, are you worthy?" Rumble. Yet another heavenly tribulation descended, one that was even more powerful. At this moment, Han Ba let out a long breath, and said, "Brat, let me out." Chapter 11:23. Then let me do it. Chapter 11:23. Then let me do it. Long Fei could not take it anymore. He was going to be unable to withstand the power of the 6th heavenly tribulation. It wasn't because he was weak. It was because the heavens had specially taken care of him, and because Long Fei's health point was not even half of his before the tribulation, and her body was in a heavily injured state. 6 consecutive celestial tribulations. Being in the middle of the purification power for such a long period of time, if it was a normal 9th level flying immortal powerhouse, he would not be able to hold on for even 10 seconds. Han Ba could not watch any longer. Of course. He really didn't want to follow Long Fei here. "Kid, let me out," Han Ba said again. Long Fei laughed sinisterly, blood continuously flowing out of his mouth as he said, "Why should I let you out? Why should I let you out?" Han Ba was slightly angered and said, "How many more times can you endure the sky calamity attacks? Do you know what level the heavenly tribulation you endured is? Do you know how many more heavenly tribulations are coming? You don't know anything, do you? Long Fei didn't know. But Han Ba knew. Because he was the god of disaster. The heavenly tribulation he experienced was exactly the same as the one Long Fei experienced. Therefore, he was very clear in his heart about what kind of heavenly tribulation Long Fei was going to face. He didn't want to become Long Fei's funeral partner. Long Fei laughed. So what if I don't know? Han Ba, are you afraid? Han Ba said, this old man is afraid. This old man has never been afraid even after hundreds of millions of years in this crappy grave of the God Emperor, because I knew that there would come a day when I would return to the divinity to kill all those hypocrites, and then I want to enter the battlefield of the ancient gods. I want to go against the will of the heavens and change the rules of this world. I'm not afraid of any of that. But I, your father, am very afraid to follow you. Because you are not a normal person at all, you are a madman. Han Ba was fearless and incomparably arrogant, but this was all because he was strong. Thus, he was not afraid of anything. However, Long Fei didn't give him a strong feeling, it was that of a madman who didn't care about his life. Once they started a war, they would kill the opponent regardless of the cost. Even if the opponent didn't die, they would still do it. If they died, they would ruthlessly ravage the opponent. Long Fei laughed, and said, I never thought that the great god of disaster would be afraid of me. It's actually me, it's actually like this. Then call me boss. Long Fei did not know if he could withstand the heavenly tribulation. If he really couldn't endure it anymore, Long Fei would also let Han Ba out in the instant of his death. He would die, he didn't want to implicate anyone else. Han Ba had indeed displeased him. They couldn't accept him. Furthermore, the loyalty level was outrageously low. If he were to let it out, it would definitely become a traitor. Han Ba's eyes became angry, and he almost roared out, and said, Brat, you're crazy, aren't you? Call you boss. At this moment, Long Fei didn't wait for Han Ba to finish speaking before he immediately said, Amen, so obedient. You really called me boss? Han Ba. F*CKU. Long Fei said, let's hear it for a bit more, maybe I will let you go. Han Ba immediately scolded, damn you. Then, he immediately became so angry that a flame appeared on top of his head. You just wait for your death. He was so angry that he didn't want to. Long Fei, however, started to laugh out loud. If Han Ba were to call him boss, then Long Fei really had no confidence at all. He was the god of disaster. Only this allowed Long Fei to feel slightly at ease. Seeing that Han Ba was silent, Long Fei slightly said, I will let you go. Han Ba was stunned. He seemed not to have heard it clearly and was stunned. Finished. Long Fei straightened his body and roared towards the sky, come again, this time. The space between Long Fei's brows tightened as Idea S connected to the sky. In the instant the heavenly tribulation descended, Long Fei's body moved once again. However, his speed was still too slow. Rumble. The seventh heavenly tribulation smashed down, not giving him any time to move at all. It instantly descended, and directly poured into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. Long Fei's eyeballs nearly popped out from the pain, power rushed into his legs. The kneecap was about to be torn apart by the power of the heavenly tribulation. But Long Fei will not kneel. You want me to kneel for you? Don't even think about it in this life. Long Fei roared out, and then roared again, eighth heavenly tribulation, come again, rumble. After half a second of brewing, the eighth heavenly tribulation descended. Long Fei used all the strength in his legs and half of his body was directly inserted into the ground. Those gods general sneered. Alright, Long Fei is already crippled. Now it's our turn. The power of purification increases its speed. A plane like this doesn't need to exist anymore. Everything that happens in this plane will be covered up. Buzz. Buzz. Golden rays of light exploded as the power of purification circulated even faster. Long Fei originally wanted to use the god's suffering force to annihilate the calamity god's general, but the current god's suffering force was moving faster and faster, to the point where he was unable to make use of it. He could clearly feel his health point trembling. God's martial continent was trembling. The kind of trembling you can't stand. Suddenly, A voice from the Yang Huang ancestor arrived in Long Fei's mind, and lightly said, Long Fei, the stronger the divine tribulation, the stronger the power you will receive. As long as you can endure the baptism of the divine tribulation, this will be a gift to you. Heavenly tribulation is a type of baptism. The baptism of power is a type of evolution for you. As long as you endure it, you will be able to evolve. Long Fei. Believe me, as long as you have a heart of a powerhouse and a firm heart, you will definitely be able to resist. Long Fei. You must resist it. The stronger the celestial tribulation, the stronger the baptism. Breaking out of the cocoon and being reborn was something that could withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Hold on. It was just a few simple words, but how was one supposed to deal with them? How could he withstand it? Long Fei really did not know how he could endure it. What worried him the most were the gods general. They were threatening his brothers, his women, the entire gods' martial continent. Unless. Long Fei's heart sank and asked, Han Ba, are you able to defeat those gods general? The corner of Han Ba's mouth hooked into a smile, and said, if you can give me the main artifact. If I use it, I can kill them one by one. Long Fei said without any hesitation, take it and use it. Get rid of these bastards. Han Ba was startled. At this moment, he was truly a little dumbfounded. I really can't see through Long Fei. Han Ba could not help but ask, aren't you going to drag me away? Long Fei said, afraid, very afraid. However, I am more afraid of my brothers. My women have died here one by one, and as long as you can turn over these gods general, I am willing to pay the price. Han Ba grinned and laughed sinisterly, then let me out. Chapter 1124 Han Ba's Betrayal. Chapter 1124 Han Ba's Betrayal. Bring it on, go and flip through all the gods general if I can. Long Fei really did not want to release Han Ba. This guy's ability could be said to be invincible. Calamity. Zombie ancestor, immortal and indestructible. Long Fei had always wanted to increase his loyalty. If he was to bring Han Ba, who had 100 points of loyalty, into the Chaos Realm, then Han Ba would absolutely sweep away everything. However, no matter how hard Long Fei tried, Han Ba's loyalty was still the same. It was still so low that it was outrageous by 0.00001%. Right now, Long Fei had no other choice. They could only release Han Ba. Moreover, if the main artifact was given to him to use, there was an enormous instability at any time. He could turn traitor at any time, and bring the main artifact with him into the void to disappear at any time. If that was the case, Long Fei accepted his fate. Boom. Woo, 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 woo. A creepy and eerie laughter that could pierce the heart and shake the soul rang out, and a ball of flames began to burn in the air. Next, Han Ba walked out. He took a step forward. With him as the center, everything within 10 meters of him began to wither rapidly. Rocks transformed into dust, grass withered, trees withered, and birds fell. So everything was dying fast. Calamity. The voice of death. Han Ba walked out with a skinny body. His neck lightly shook, and his joints popped out. He laughed excitedly. It feels so good to be out here. It was also at this time. Han Ba looked at Long Fei and said, bring the main artifact over. Han Ba made Long Fei very worried, but he pretended that nothing had happened and laughed. Take it. The dragon coffin pushed. Han Ba caught it and gently felt it for a bit before excitedly laughing. Ha ha ha. At this moment, the sound of his laughter shook the place as an incomparably powerful force suddenly erupted from the dragon coffin. It was as if the power of the main artifact had been completely activated. The power exploded outwards, shooting directly into the skies and blocking a celestial tribulation. Han Ba looked up coldly, and said, TCH. This look of disdain simply did not place the power of this heavenly tribulation in his eyes. Han Ba looked at Long Fei, and said, Brat, look clearly at the main artifact's strength. Main artifact are not used like you. Oh, right. There's one thing I haven't done. Han Ba smiled. Seeing the smile on his face, Long Fei's heart sank, Crap. Ding. System notification. The war pet Han BA has rebelled. Ding. System notification. The war pet Han BA has rebelled. Ding. System notification. War pet Han BA has rebelled. The system beeped 3 times. With a loyalty level of 0.00001%, it was thinner than a piece of paper and could be broken with a single poke. Han BA was able to shake off Long Fei's crowd control with just a little bit of force, and it was completely useless. Long Fei frowned, his heart beginning to worry. He had no way to deal with Han BA's betrayal. Furthermore, it was impossible to summon him to the war pet space. Moreover, the main artifact dragon coffin were in his hands. If he wanted to leave, no one could stop him, not even those gods General S. This uncontrollable situation made Long Fei panic in his heart, and was extremely displeased. Han BA smiled slightly as he looked at Long Fei. I don't like others controlling me. Although I somewhat like you, brat, for your wildness, insolence enough, fighting hard enough, and strength enough, being with you is too dangerous. It's still better for me to control my own fate. However, kid, I will do what I promised you. However, Han BA looked up to the sky and glanced at the rows of accumulated gods suffering force in the sky. In this period of time he was using the power of the main artifact to block the waves of the gods suffering force. He had already accumulated a total of 7 to 4 gods suffering forces. Han BA smiled and said, I don't know if you can withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Get ready. As soon as he finished, Han BA turned his eyes, stared at the gods general in the sky and laughed arrogantly. Gods general? Envoy of heaven? Heavenly oracle? Bullshit. They're just a bunch of main temple lackeys. The faces of the gods general darkened. A gods general asked, Who are you? Han BA laughed coldly, and said, I am your ancestor. As soon as he finished, the main artifact moved, and Han BA's body disappeared. In that instant, the gods general who was speaking was suddenly sucked in by a strong force, and in less than half a second, his body became a dried-up corpse. Han BA did not manage to absorb all of the blood. Hiss. So cool. What a pure god's blood smell. Ha ha ha. All of you, go to hell. Han BA was furious. The main artifact moved its hand and swept its power out like an explosion. At the same time, rumble, rumble, rumble. The gods' suffering force continuously struck down as 8 heavenly tribulations descended at the same time. Long Fei's entire body relaxed, he had no energy in his body to block and defend. Since this is a type of baptism, then let's make it a bit more violent. Boom. Boom. When the 8 gods' suffering force entered Long Fei's body, everything was suppressed. Long Fei's every pore trembled, and at the same time, they began to transform. Long Fei was smashed to death. No matter what baptism it is. If I find the chance, I will definitely trample you underfoot. Long Fei looked up to the sky. Han BA massacred. Every time he killed a god's general, he would absorb all of their blood essence. His skinny body gradually recovered its vigor, and his strength quickly recovered. This was also what Long Fei was worried about. If all the gods general died, what would Han BA do if he killed all of them? Bring it on. Come at me more fiercely. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood, as he endured one divine tribulation after another. Han BA took a quick glance and his eyes shook slightly. He laughed. Seems like you have awakened, you know how to undergo the baptism of heavenly tribulation, but, kid, you're different from me. Our identities are different. You have to endure more pain than I do. You have to endure divine retribution. Han BA glanced at the sky and laughed coldly. Boom. Boom. The 54th celestial tribulation had arrived. Is it not over? Could it really be 81 great gods suffering forces? Long Fei can't do it anymore. Is there no way to stop it? Suddenly, Liu Luoshi looked at Han BA and pleaded, Can you use the main artifact to help Long Fei resist a little? Can you let him rest a bit more? Han BA sucked up the blood essence of one of the gods General S and sneered, No, it has nothing to do with me whether he dies or not. However, if you could give me your virgin blood, I might consider it. Long Fei became furious and shouted, Han Ba, try touching one of them. Han Ba grinned and laughed, then said, Brat, enjoy your heavenly tribulation, your heavenly tribulation. Hee hee. But unique, unlike anyone else. Ha ha ha. Chapter 11:25, Great Perfection, Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 11:25, Great Perfection, Heavenly Tribulation. It was different from any heavenly tribulation. Han Ba did not say what was different about it. He just kept laughing. When he smiled, there was a trace of envy in his eyes. The celestial tribulation was a form of baptism. The stronger the baptism was, the better it was for a martial artist. The more treasures a martial artist could obtain. Han Ba looked at Liu Luoshi and said, Little girl, your men are much stronger than you think. I am not talking about him. The power I'm talking about is his heart of becoming strong. Watch carefully. Maybe this is the last time you'll see him. The main artifact in Han Ba's hand suddenly smashed, causing a god's general that was rushing over to be smashed down, and muttered, This kind of usage is really not bad. He made a grasping motion in the air. He directly grabbed the heavenly tribulation and absorbed the blood essence within God's general ruthlessly. Everyone looked at Long Fei. Liu Luoshi asked, What's called a unique heavenly tribulation? Will he die? Han Ba laughed. Who knows? Maybe. Ha ha ha. The dragon coffin smashed the head of another god's general into pieces. This usage is really not bad. Liu Luoshi looked at Long Fei. Now that the entire purification power had started to crumble, the drastic changes in the god's martial continent also began to slow down. Many people were looking in the direction of the Nantian region, watching as one god's suffering force after another came crashing down. At this moment, countless people clenched their fists, silently praying in their hearts, Long Fei, you must survive. Help him. He is the benefactor of our god's martial continent. Save him. More and more people began to look forward to it for Long Fei. They were not clear about what had happened in the Nantian region, nor were they clear about what had happened, but they were clear that Long Fei had risked his life to protect the god's martial continent. He was risking his life to protect them. He was the benefactor of the god's martial continent. Come and pray for Master Long Fei. That's all we can do. Come and help him. More and more people joined in as they prayed sincerely for Long Fei to pass this trial. Slowly, billions of people across the continent began to pray. Little by little, the power of prayer converged. It then turned into a stream of spirit power, and faith power and flowed into Long Fei's body. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining myriad faith. Buzz! At this moment, the power of the heavenly tribulation changed and became even more arrogant. It was as if the sky had become angry, and it became even more crazy. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Han Ba laughed loudly. Interesting, too interesting. I never thought that the god's suffering force is leveling up, ha ha ha. I really have to thank my psychokinesis, spiritual force, and faith in the power of prayer. The celestial tribulation had not weakened, rather, it had become even more powerful. Even the gods general that were still alive were at a loss. He had never seen such a powerful god's suffering force before. This kind of god's suffering force would not even appear in a high plane, but now, it had actually appeared in the god's martial continent. What was going on? Impossible. This is impossible. It's impossible for a paragon's celestial tribulation to appear in a place like this. A god's general's voice trembled slightly. Han Ba's eyes turned cold and he smiled. Not bad, you actually know about the great perfection heavenly tribulation. You're right, the heavenly tribulation continues to level up. Right now, the heavenly tribulation he is facing is the one at the great perfection stage. I can't believe you didn't think of that kind of power. While he was speaking, Han Ba's figure suddenly moved, landing beside those gods general, and coldly laughed. You all have to pay a price to witness a miracle, right? Hand over your life. Han Ba swept the dragon coffin in his hand, then heavily slammed down. Boom. Boom. Several gods general died. Han Ba quickly absorbed them and said, I need to increase my speed too. Rumble. The 79th Celestial Tribulation. Long Fei closed his eyes and remained motionless. He didn't know if he was alive or dead. At this moment, Long Fei was in extreme pain, on the verge of death, but he was holding on with one breath. Don't give up, just do it, just do it. Dry heaven, dry earth, dry air. No one can stop me. Long Fei screamed in his heart, even the heavens cannot, because my name is Long Fei. Rumble. The 80th Heavenly Tribulation. Is there a final one? Last. Long Fei tried to sense for a bit and felt that the Heavenly Tribulation was not about to end. Zhong Xian was astounded. The mind and the sea of consciousness were on the verge of collapse, unable to withstand it. Rumble. The 81st Celestial Tribulation has descended. It was exactly as Long Fei had expected. It wasn't over. Why is the gods' suffering force still wreaking havoc? Isn't there a maximum of 81 heavenly tribulations? Why is that? Heavens, are you going to kill Long Fei? God of scoundrel, you are too despicable and shameless. Big brother Long Fei, big brother Long Fei. The 81 Celestial Tribulation descended. In the blink of an eye, the 82 Celestial Tribulations descended. Ha ha ha. So it's really like that, it's really getting faster and faster, the Great Perfection Heavenly Tribulation. How many things that the powerhouse dreams of, I can't even ask for, yet you just happen to meet it, it's just that. Kid, can you bear it? Han Ba said with a smile. He could clearly feel that Long Fei was at the edge of life and death. It could be said. He couldn't bear it. This was because the following heavenly tribulation was an elemental heavenly tribulation, stronger than any god's suffering force. Ice element. Rumble. Long Fei's body instantly turned into an ice sculpture. Rumble. Lightning element. The ice sculpture exploded, and Long Fei's body was struck by the heavy lightning. Wind essence. Hurricane crush. Long Fei's entire body was trembling, and in his heart, he kept telling himself that he would have to endure one more time, endure one more time, endure one more time. Rumble. Element of extinction. A wave of energy struck down, and Han Ba's expression sunk as he said faintly, "It's over, he's about to collapse." Boom. Under the impact of the power, Long Fei's health point dropped to its lowest point, leaving behind only a bit of his health point. Ding. System notification. Player's health point is too low, please immediately add. Ding. Red alert. Player's health point is too low, please supplement in time. Long Fei's body kept breaking through the limit again and again, but he had endured too much. He couldn't take it anymore. There was only a little bit of health point left. Not to mention heavenly tribulation, even a child beating him with a stick would make him want to meet the King of Hell. At this moment, Han Ba suddenly said in a loud voice, "Kid, there's only one out of the 111 complete heavenly tribulations left. If you can withstand them, you can fly into the sky, and if you can't, you will be turned into ashes. You have to hold on." Han Ba wanted to witness a miracle. However, Long Fei could not hold on any longer. In another second, his health point would disappear and he would die. In the last second, Long Fei was dead for sure. Chapter 1126, This Father Absolute Immortality. Chapter 1126, This Father Absolute Immortality, the Final Celestial Tribulation. This was the most powerful of the 111 tribulations. The heavens would definitely not let Long Fei rush over so easily, because he was angry. Also, Long Fei only had one last bit of health point left. According to the game's explanation, if this bit of health point disappeared, he would immediately die. With his entire body heavily injured, his health point was already unable to endure the last bit of heavenly tribulation. He couldn't take it anymore. Long Fei looked at them in the blink of an eye, and the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. Everyone needs to be fine. As soon as he finished, Long Fei moved the energy in his body and shouted, "Dragon's Force, release." Boom. Boom. The Dragon's Force did not want to leave their bodies, but they were unable to struggle free, so they had to obey Long Fei's orders. "Xiaofei. Boss. Boss. All sorts of sounds continuously rang out in the air. Long Fei smiled faintly. Go back to your original positions. You have already helped me enough. When the dragon's force came out of their bodies, all the Long family disciples revived after absorbing the dragon's power. And it was the same for the 14th dragon ancestor. Long Fei knew that he might not be able to overcome this hurdle. He had to leave this place without worry, as a single dragon's force represented a life. The lives of Long family's disciples also included the lives of their dragon ancestors. Long Fei didn't want to drag them into hell. Heh heh. Long Fei laughed lightly, and said, "Come, this old one has lived enough." After doing all of this, Long Fei turned around and looked at the sky. Looking at the god's suffering force that had been brewing for a long time, Long Fei opened his hands and closed his eyes, muttering, "In 10 years, this daddy has struck gold." In his 10 years in this world, Long Fei had lived an exciting life every day. There were brothers, there were women, there were family, there was wine and there was meat, there was even arrogance and hot-bloodedness. Even if he was given another 50 years on Earth, he wouldn't be able to live like this. Enough. He had made a huge profit. Long Fei looked up at the sky and laughed, roaring madly. "Come on, what are you hesitating for? Come on." Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed out arrogantly. Ling Long cried her eyes out, "Senior brother Long Fei, senior brother Long Fei." Yuna's face was covered in tears. Liu Luoshi was in so much pain that she wished she were dead. All the girls also cried loudly, many of them couldn't even make a sound. Long Fei did not dare to look at him, because looking at him made him feel even more reluctance to part. At this time, he already no longer had the chance to live. Death. Long Fei was very calm. He had never thought that he would be so calm in the face of death. Rumble. Rumble. The heavenly tribulation activated, and the sky sank even deeper. The 9-story heaven's strength quickly superimposed together, forming a strong 9-story heaven's power. Rumble. The 111th bolt of divine retribution descended. The entire God's martial continent darkened instantly, turning into a pitch-black night. All of the light was absorbed by the divine tribulation's power. A bolt of Xuan'arbai's lightning heavily struck the top of Xiong Longfei's head. Long Fei clenched both of his fists tightly, tightly and tightly. His entire body was trembling, his hair was scattered all over, flying horizontally as fresh blood dyed his entire body red like a demon and as if he had gone mad. At this moment, Long Fei roared in his heart, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I really don't want to die." 10 years of hard work. In exchange for the life and death brothers, the peerless beauty, and the family that doted on him, all of this would disappear. Long Fei really couldn't accept it. "System, is there a way? I don't want to die." Long Fei roared in his heart. There was no response from the system, and it probably had no other options. Boom, boom, boom. The explosive force that came crashing down bit by bit was something that Long Fei could think of no way to resist. Golden body? Do I need to use my golden body again? Useless. Any form of defense in front of the heavenly tribulation would be useless, even if it was the imperishable golden body. This was because the power of the heavenly tribulation would enter one's sea of consciousness and then expand one's entire body. Long Fei's Zhongye gold body could not provide any form of defense. "I'm really going to die. I am really going to die, ha ha ha. I really can't King accept this." Long Fei laughed, both sides looked up at the sky, and said quietly, "Heavens, I will K your entire family." Rumble. The god's suffering force crashed down. At this moment, Han Ba sucked all of the last god's general dry. Looking at Long Fei's face that was filled with unwillingness, he smiled slightly and said, "Brat, you won't be interesting if you lose this world." Buzz. Han Ba formed a palm with his right hand, and placed it on top of the dragon coffin as he roared out, "Ah!" In this instant, Han Ba released all of the energy he had just absorbed from the god's General S and poured it into the main artifact dragon coffin, not holding anything back. His recovered body also quickly turned into a mummy. He was even thinner than before. Kid. Cat. Han Ba's right hand pushed forward, and his body also retreated a few steps back. He swayed a few times, and seemed to be unable to take it any longer. The dragon coffin pushed the door open. The main artifact emitted a strong light. Han Ba shouted, "Kid, jump in." At this time, Long Fei no longer had a choice. He jumped straight into the dragon coffin according to Han Ba's words. Boom. The dragon coffin merged together. Han Ba grinned, looked at the sky and said, "So what if you're a perfect heavenly tribulation? Your father will still resist, ha ha ha. The God above us is amazing. Heh. I just don't feel good helping him, what can you do to me?" Han Ba said arrogantly. It was unknown if it was because his words had angered the heavens even more, or because the god's suffering force had undergone a change in the last moment when it hit the dragon coffin or not. Strength mutation. It became a 7-colored light, and the powerful power of main god blasted into it. The sky was splitting apart. The earth trembled. Han Ba was stupefied. Clenching both fists tightly, he shouted with extreme displeasure. Was there a use for this? Just a warrior from the lower realms, is there a need for your main temple to go against him like this? Do you even have any shame? His strength had changed. Han Ba was very familiar with this kind of aura. It was the aura of a certain powerhouse. Even main artifact could not handle it. This wasn't the power of heavenly tribulation at all, this was clearly aimed at him. It was a blatant provocation. Han Ba cursed, but that did not change anything. The power of the attack struck down. Explosion on the dragon coffin. Long Fei did not do anything inside the dragon coffin, he was still continuously thinking of a way, and upon hearing Han Ba's furious words, Long Fei's heart tightened. You must kill me, right? Main temple, right? You must let me die, right? F*CKU, lousy wants to live. Long Fei gritted his teeth and at this moment, a thought flashed through his mind. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he laughed excitedly. Bedevilment. Chapter 1127 Rebirth. Chapter 1127 Rebirth. Bedevilment. He had to force himself into a corner. In this desperate situation, Long Fei thought about the demon body that he still had, the one that had been crippled. However, this crippled devil body required a powerful force to be activated once more. A powerful force. Is the god's suffering force strong enough? If it's not enough, what about adding on the power of main god? Is that enough? Ding. System notification. Player's health point is too low, unable to become bewitched. Ding. System notification. The player's health point is too low, unable to be bedeviled. Swish. Forcefully bedeviling the devil. Long Fei was going all out. As long as he could live, he would not hesitate to pay any price, because he wanted to turn this world upside down. He had to survive. The more he wanted to kill him, the less he would die. Ding. System notification. Player forced into a demonic state, original body will die, please be careful. Careful my ass. As long as I can live, even if I become incomparably ugly, even if I become ugly, I don't care. Long Fei thought about the side effects of the god's bone taboo's power. Not to mention becoming ugly, even if it meant crippling Long Fei, he didn't mind. Live, and there will be limitless possibilities. He wouldn't be able to enter the infernal realm if he was killed by the celestial tribulation. Ding. Player Long Fei has forcefully become bedeviled. Ding. Points, 0. Ding. Enchantment successful. Ding. Player Real Face Tower's body dies. The system sounded out continuously. Being bedeviled had an unimaginable price to pay. One part of Long Fei's body was instantly killed, which meant that he was no longer able to exchange it for his current body. There was no turning back. Boom. Long Fei's body turned into a god's devil body, the bone wings on his back snapped, and his entire body was severely injured. Even after 2 years, this devil body still had not recovered. How could a body like this withstand such a powerful god's suffering force? Of course not. However, there was a power that might work. In the blink of an eye, Long Fei let out a heavy roar, and said, "Come, wake up your strength. God's bone taboo, the power of the 10th layer, open for me." Ah! Forcefully entering the devil state and forcefully opening the power of the 10th level of God's bone taboo, this was suicidal. If he did not succeed, both of Long Fei's body would die. There was no possibility of regeneration. This method was extremely crazy. Crack. The deathly still feeling energy in Long Fei's stomach started to throb, as if it was a fetus that had a heartbeat. Boom. Long Fei was ready. Now, all he was missing was this last bit of power. The god's suffering force combined with the power of main god and bombarded down. Rumble. The light halo spread out for trillions of kilometers and enveloped half of the god's martial continent, as if a powerful outer space force was forcefully passing through a planet. The scene was a complete mess. Han Ba's eyes darkened, his stronger than I had imagined. Despicable, shameless. This is a fair heaven to target a lower realm martial artist. This is the main temple who loves the world. Laughable, laughable, extremely laughable. I will definitely enter the ancient holy battlefield, and I must completely change the current situation. Main temple? Just you wait. He was very unhappy. He felt pity for Long Fei, because even the current him might not be able to withstand such a power, much less Long Fei. Right now, he wanted to enter the ancient holy battlefield to find that item and the magic tool to kill the sovereign. He wanted to go against the heavens and change the fate of these 100,000 wild universes. Long Fei. Xiao Fei. Boss. Countless people were shouting, their voices were so weak and pale. It was all over. It was as if their hearts had died. Amongst the dragon coffin, Long Fei clenched his teeth, all the blood vessels in his body bursting out. The energy of the 10th level of the god's bone taboo devoured him, and the strong impact of the god's suffering force made Long Fei feel like he was suffering a fate worse than death, as streams of energy exploded from his sea of consciousness. Long Fei became more and more determined. I can't die. I absolutely cannot die. I want to destroy the so-called heavens and the so-called main temple. I can't die. The energy in his body became more and more active as it crazily throbbed, just like a child in his stomach. Ding. System notification. Player's cultivation method is broken. Ding. System notification. Player's war pet system has been broken. Ding. System notification. Player's striking system has collapsed. Ding. System notification. Player's beast transformation system has cracked. As wave after wave of power blasted down, Long Fei's system powers crumbled, his cultivation technique crumbled, and all of his techniques turned to ash and disappeared. The war pet system crumbled. All of the war pet were out of Long Fei's control, including the trolls. The instant the war pet system crumbled, Xiao Bai, Ice and Fire, could clearly sense the feeling of Long Fei being separated from them. The giant demons, earth demons, Lei Mo, and Feiya all clearly sensed this feeling. Boss. Master. He roared. To them, this meant that Long Fei was already dead. I can't feel my boss anymore. Boss, he. No, boss will definitely be fine. Xiao Bai rushed forward recklessly, and before he could even get close, he was swept away by a ray of light. He was unable to approach his cultivation. It could be said. Xiao Bai crawled up from the ground, but he still crazily rushed forward. From the moment he was born, the moment he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Long Fei following him. He was continuously sent flying. Everyone's heart sank. Amongst the dragon coffin. Boom. Ding. System notification. Player's body is about to break. Even the devil body can't withstand it. He can't even absorb that energy in his stomach. Long Fei trembled a little, his face a little pale. At a time like this, he really did not want to die. But now, he no longer had any power to resist. He couldn't take it either. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully condensing the embryo. Would you like to release it? Dao embryo? What is this? Is it something inside me? Long Fei did not have the heart to check on these. As long as he was alive, regardless of whether he was a Dao embryo or a nascent soul, there was only one thing he needed to do. Live. Release. Buzz. The moment his voice fell, Long Fei suddenly entered a brand new world, a world he had never been to before, as though he was in an illusion. It also seemed like he was in a mother body. What is this? Where is this place? Long Fei didn't know, he only knew that the god's suffering force was leaving him far, far away, and slowly disappearing. At this moment, a system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for rebirth. Chapter 1128, He is still alive. Chapter 1128, He is still alive. God's martial continent. Everything returned to calm. God's general's body disappeared into thin air, and the god's suffering force that was wreaking havoc in the sky disappeared. If it wasn't a pile of ruins, it would seem as if nothing had happened. The entire world turned silent. Everyone looked at the dragon coffin. Standing in place, he did not dare to move, did not even dare to think, did not even dare to think about the consequences, and did not dare to think whether or not Long Fei was still inside. For a full 10 minutes. There were no sounds from the dragon coffiness, and Song Qianqian and the others did not move either. Finally, Xiao Bai couldn't help but walk forward step by step as if he was facing a great enemy. He carefully approached the dragon coffin and lightly called out, "Boss." There was no response from the dragon coffin. Xiao Bai's voice rose a little, "Boss." There was still no response from the dragon coffin. Xiao Bai's body was trembling as he looked at the people behind him. He gathered his courage and gently pushed the dragon coffin away. At this moment, everyone held their breath, clenched their fists, and silently prayed. However, the instant Xiao Bai's claws touched the dragon coffin, Hualala! The dragon coffin turned into powder, and with a light bang, it completely collapsed. Han Bai's gaze tensed up, and he softly uttered a question, "Eh?" The rest of them ran over as if they had gone mad, and shouted, "Long Fei, Long Fei, Long Fei." As if he had done something wrong, Xiao Bai laid on the ground, his claws continuously piled up the powder the dragon coffin had dropped onto the ground, and said with a trembling voice, "It's not like that, it's not like that, it must be my hallucination, boss will be fine, boss will definitely be fine." He seemed to have gone crazy. They kept talking, shouting, and shouting. A disciple of the Long family. Dragon ancestor in the sky. Song Qianqian and the others. The giant demons and the others all rushed forward. The dragon coffin quickly turned into powder. There was nothing inside other than a pile of powder. A cool breeze blew past. The powder scattered along with the wind, causing Song Qianqian and the other girls to become even more crazy. They frantically grabbed onto it. "It won't, it won't, it won't." His tears were about to run out. They could not accept such a scene. Liu Luosh's body went limp, and he immediately fainted. The leopard girl was stunned on the spot. Her face was pale and she could not say a single word. Yuna cried loudly as she tried to sense the surroundings and used the blood vein to check the surroundings. He could not sense a single bit of Long Fei's aura and it had completely disappeared. Long Fei's future was blank, there was nothing at all. It was as if there was no one in this world. If it did not exist, it meant that he was already dead. Yuna cried. Everyone was crying. Impossible. No reason. Even if the main artifact encountered the power of the main artifact, it would not be blasted apart. If it were to be blasted to pieces, then it would not be a main artifact anymore. Han Bie did not move. He had been thinking about this all along. And then, Han Bie landed lightly and carefully examined the dragon coffin powder. After a few seconds of silence, a glint suddenly flashed in his eyes, as the corner of his mouth hooked up and he laughed out loud, "Ha ha ha. Good boy, you truly surprised me, ha ha ha. It's not simple. It's not simple. Using the power of heaven to resist heavenly tribulation, is really fierce." Cough, cough. Han Bie coughed lightly and said, "Don't cry anymore, you silly girl. Your boss, your man is not dead yet, don't worry." As soon as his voice fell, the surrounding voices suddenly became silent. Xiao Bai immediately asked, "Master, then where did my boss go?" Han Bie replied, "I don't know about that, I only know that he isn't dead yet. As for where he went, I'm not sure." However, the corner of Han Bie's mouth revealed an excited smile, and said, "Now I have something to play around with." After being baptized by the great perfection's heavenly tribulation, how strong will he become? Ha ha ha. This is something I really look forward to. However, smelly brat, you actually took away the main artifact, you clearly promised to leave it with me. Han Ba said. When he spoke, he was smiling. He didn't even know when the tears had appeared in the corners of his eyes. Han Ba looked into the sky and muttered, Boy, it's good that you're alive. Heh heh. And then, the aura of strength from Han Ba's body moved, and said faintly, No matter where you are, your final destination is still the divinity. Long Fei. I will wait for you in ancient holy battlefield. Together, we will break this world's structure, trample the heavens beneath our feet, ha ha ha. Han Ba's voice sunk as she shouted, If you want to find him, there is only one way, to become stronger. He is no longer in the gods' martial continent. If you want to find him, then train with all your might and break through the shackles of the gods' martial continent. Next up, I'll stay here for 3 years. I'll pass on some special powers to you. The amount you can learn will depend on yourselves. In another place. Buzz. Inside the Sky Patrol ship's deity's lake. Yang Huang ancestor's body was completed. A middle-aged man walked out of the divine pond, and said with a slight smile, Long Fei, I'll see you at Chaos Realm. His body moved. The Yang Huang ancestor tore through the sky. His primordial spirit belonged to the Chaos Realm, so it was not restricted by the laws of the gods' martial continent and directly flew into the air and disappeared. Your son is still alive. Now, you can hand over your soul in peace death space. Long Zhanting's heart relaxed slightly. And then, Long Zhanting asked, Last question, if you can answer, I will immediately hand over my soul. Death did not seem to be annoyed. Go ahead and ask. Long Zhanting asked, Where did my wife go? The god of death pondered for a moment and said, This question. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Long Zhanting was startled. This question was already very clear, and being unable to answer it was the best answer. She had gone to a plane of higher level than the divinity. Long Zhanting said, Then can you tell me where 8 King Kong is? The god of death smiled and replied, They are on the road to rebirth. Don't worry, all of their strengths have been enhanced. Their appearance hasn't changed at all. If your son were to see them, he would definitely recognize them. What I'm afraid of now is, they don't know your son. Ha ha ha. Can you hand over your soul now? Death was a little excited. Long Zhanting faintly said, Sure. And then, Long Zhanting's consciousness moved. At this time, Death God's eyes flashed with a bright light, revealing an extremely greedy gaze, instantly devouring Long Zhanting's soul, but, in this instant, Death's eyes suddenly changed. Long Zhanting. You. Who is the king now? Who is the king now? Ding. System crash. Ding. System initialization. Ding. System has completed the initialization. Ding. System upgrade. System beeps kept appearing in his mind. Finally, a progress bar appeared in his mind. The progress bar for upgrading the system was like a game update, moving forward bit by bit. It wasn't very fast. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Boom. Long Fei's spirit sense suddenly exploded, his body fiercely flicked, he jumped up from the ground, gasping for breath, his entire body drenched in sweat, his clothes soaked. There was also a sharp pain in his abdomen. The moment he opened his eyes, he was surrounded by a circle of people. He didn't die. He didn't die. He didn't die. Damn, he actually didn't die. Ha ha ha. Wang Tai, you have lost, give me money, Mother **, I'm going to kill him. I don't care if you kill him or not, but you have to pay him first, understand? Give me money. The surrounding crowd clamored. The people around Long Fei also quickly retreated and joined the clamoring. Wang Tai, you can't even kill a piece of trash, and you've caused us to lose so much money. **CK, Lousy will accompany you. Wang Tai, a person like you, some kind of outer disciple of the Yuan Yang clan, you really embarrass the Yuan Yang clan. Countless people clamored. Countless people cursed. Long Fei sat on the ground and looked around. He had a feeling as if the sky was spinning and the earth was spinning. The noise made him extremely irritable as he shouted loudly, "Where the hell is this?" However, no one answered him. The surroundings looked like a huge underground boxing ring. He was in a cage. At this moment, the two burly men walked into the cage. 009, I didn't expect your life to be so tough. You survived this time. What luck. Damn it, I lost 300 taels. The sturdy man then kicked Long Fei, causing two cracking sounds that caused his bones to break. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his entire body. And then, the two big-sized men dragged Long Fei out by one leg from the cage. Long Fei wanted to smash his palm onto the big-sized man's back. This kind of person who dared to make a move on him was not even alive yet. He suddenly exerted strength. One palm was aiming for his life, but he suddenly realized that he had no strength left. His palm struck the big-sized man's back, felt like scratching an itch. Moreover, the big-sized man was enraged as he turned around and threw a punch at Long Fei's face. He shouted angrily, "You dog, you're courting death, aren't you?" Bam! After punching Long Fei down, the back of his head smashed into the ground. Bam! His entire brain began to click and he fainted. Before he fainted, Long Fei stared at the big-sized man and thought, "I will remember you." That big guy yelled, "What are you looking at? Be careful, your father might dig out your eyes." The sound became indistinct and Long Fei fainted again. After an unknown period of time, only when a bucket of cold water was poured on his face did he suddenly wake up. His entire body was ice-cold, in great pain, and his body couldn't help but shiver. He took a look at his surroundings. Within the pitch-black iron prison, there were several people lying in the darkness. It was unknown whether they were alive or dead. Outside of the iron cage, a big man threw the wooden bucket to the side and coldly snorted, 009, you did a good job today. The boss made a lot of money. This is for you from the boss. The big man took out a small porcelain bottle. He wanted to throw it in, but in the end he stopped and took out two thin pills from all over the bottle. He coldly sneered, "What kind of pills do a slave like you want? 2 are mine. Take this healing pill for yourself." After throwing the bottle, the big man sneered and left. The instant his figure disappeared, the darkness of the cage suddenly erupted and countless figures madly ran towards that small porcelain bottle. Everyone's eyes were as if they were devouring a human. Each of them was as thin as a mummy. "Get out of my way, this is mine, it's mine. His mine." A large group of people charged forward, like a pack of fierce wolves with fierce gazes. Long Fei was very surprised, because there were many more people hidden in the darkness than he had imagined. Seeing them rushing forward with no regards for their own safety, their target was that small pill, which Long Fei did not even take seriously in the past. But now, he needed pills. He needed this healing pill. At this moment, he held back the pain and grabbed the vial. At this moment, everyone stopped and looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said coldly, "This is mine." As soon as he finished, a voice came from the darkness and said coldly, "This is not yours. Everything in this iron prison, including your life, is mine." While they were talking, a huge figure slowly stood up and walked out of the darkness. Tall and sturdy, with a height close to 3 meters, ordinary people were like villains in front of him. Everyone in the iron prison was extremely skinny, except for him, who was sturdy, thick, and muscular. He was the king of this iron prison, Nyo Das Han. Just like its name, its body was as sturdy as a mountain. When he walked out, all the people who came to snatch started to slowly retreat, their faces filled with fear, as though they were watching a good show. Nyo Das Han walked over and coldly said, "Brat, hand it over." "And if I don't?" Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Nyo Das Han clenched his fists tightly, and the key point was that a series of explosions occurred. He glared at Long Fei and said, "You can try. Hee hee. You dare to challenge Ox Bro? Are you tired of living? Kid, why don't you take a look at this place? Do you really think that you're so amazing just because you won a match outside? Do you know what cultivation level Ox Bro has? A piece of trash like you better be more tactful. Everyone clamored. Nyo Dashan laughed complacently. Did you hear that? Here, I am the king. There was contempt in his voice. How arrogant. Long Fei slightly raised his eyes. He slowly stood up and forcefully endured the pain on his body, and slightly said, "You are a king?" Suddenly. Long Fei suddenly rushed forward. His body shot out like a broken string. His speed was not fast, at least not in the eyes of these people, but none of them wanted to hit Long Fei and sneak attack him, so how could the previously weak 009 dare to retaliate? He didn't expect it. Nyo Dashan didn't expect it himself. Moreover, they never expected Long Fei to be so ruthless. He rushed forward and with a move, his right hand suddenly grabbed towards Nyo Dashan's crotch, and fiercely pinched. Crack. The two eggs were tightly held in his hand, and he exerted his strength. "You are a king?" "Ah. Let go, let go, let go." Nyo Dashan's legs pinched together, causing him to scream miserably in pain non-stop. All of them nearly cried out, while the others around him also tightened their chrysanthemums, revealing painful expressions. Long Fei bellowed, "Who is the king now?" Chapter 1130, Telling the Bull to Explosion. Chapter 1130, Telling the Bull to Explosion. If one was not ruthless, one would not be able to stand steadily. The system is upgrading and cannot be used. The cultivation technique system had collapsed and was unable to be used. If one's body was severely injured, one's strength would be wasted. In this situation, even 10 of them were not Nyo Dashan's match. If he wanted to win, he would have to deal a fatal blow. Long Fei's technique was very dirty, but it was the most effective fatal strike. With great force on his right hand, he shouted, "Who is the king now?" Nyo Dashan was in so much pain that he broke out in a cold sweat. "Ah!" Long Fei exerted his strength once again, and said gloomily, "Do you believe that I won't pinch your eggs until they shatter?" Gloomy. Terrifying. They had never seen such a gaze before, nor did they know that a sheep like Long Fei would suddenly turn into a fierce tiger. Everyone was shocked. Nyo Dashan immediately softened, and said, "No, no, no. Brother, you are the king. You are the king. You are the king here. If anyone dares to touch you, I swear I will kill them." Nyo Dashan was really afraid. He could feel a hidden killing intent from Long Fei. Long Fei's gaze swept across them, and said coldly, "All of you better ***king listen up. Right now, your father is king." Finished. Long Fei's hands loosened. He did not retreat, but stared at Nyo Dashan. Nyo Dashan's hands covered his crotch, and his body trembled as he retreated several steps. Right now, he didn't even dare to look Long Fei in the eye. It was like trying to eat someone. Long Fei slowly swallowed the healing pill in front of everyone. Following that, Long Fei slowly walked back to the wall and sat down. He closed his eyes and kept asking himself, what exactly happened? What's going on? Didn't the system remind me that I've been reborn? This is called rebirth. This is not my body at all, Anne. Where the ***ck is this? Long Fei couldn't wrap his head around it, and he didn't have any memories about this world in his mind either. The feeling it gave him was the feeling of teleportation. But Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that this was not teleportation. If this was teleportation, then it would be much more dangerous than the first time. Because he could feel the looks of disdain and anger from the surroundings, and they were all staring at him. They couldn't accept it. Long Fei got the upper hand just like that. Nyo Dashan curled up at the side as he screamed in a low voice. TL, Brother Nyo, you're letting this kid get the upper hand just like that? Oxbro, give this kid some color now. Oxbro, why don't you let me do it? If I knock him down. As they were discussing, Long Fei's eyes were wide open, carrying a dense killing intent. He said with a heavy voice, "Whoever dares to make the slightest sound, I'll kill them." As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei swept his gaze across. He had to be intimidated, or else he would turn the tables. Now, Long Fei could use his aura to suppress them. Once again, his monkey steel's peach definitely wouldn't work. Niu Dashan instantly stopped his blood-curdling screech, and even carefully controlled his breathing, not daring to randomly let it out. The surrounding people saw that Niu Dashan had also calmed down, and did not dare to make another sound. Long Fei leaned against the wall and pretended to close his eyes to rest, but he did not dare to do that, as he was on guard at all times. Half an hour later, Niu Dashan. Hearing Long Fei's call, Niu Dashan immediately ran over, and asked, "Boss, what's the matter?" He was truly afraid. Long Fei slightly asked, "What place is this?" Niu Dashan was startled. "Boss, you even forgot about this place?" Long Fei glared at him. Niu Dashan immediately did not dare to ask any further, and said, "This is Yuan Yang Clan's underground fighting underground dungeon." Yuan Yang Clan? Water City? Underground combat dungeon? Long Fei felt that all of this was extremely strange. He was sure that this place was definitely not the gods' martial continent from before, but a completely different world. Long Fei asked, "What is the name of this plane?" Everyone was stunned. He whispered, "What's going on? Have you forgotten where we are? Has he been beaten silly? Someone must have gone crazy." Niu Dashan let out a heavy cough, and the surroundings immediately quietened down. Reporting to boss, "This is the Chaos Realm." Chaos Realm. Long Fei stared at him. "I'm at Chaos Realm." His face was filled with shock. When the final heavenly tribulation descends, the Tao embryo is released. It actually brought me to the Chaos Realm. Long Fei was secretly shocked, and in that moment, rumble. Long Fei's sea of consciousness suddenly exploded. Just like a small universe exploding. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully upgrading the system. System upgrade completed. System, Striking System version 1. 0 player, Long Fei level, 0 holy source, 10 points skill path, none striking value, 100 points lucky value, 10 points war pet, none partner, none sect, God's martial sect, sect leader, in seal. Everything was exactly the same as Long Fei's first teleportation, where the system was upgraded. However, Long Fei did not feel any changes to the system, since the biggest change was he had nothing. However, as long as the system was in his possession, he was not afraid. No matter what the world was, the system was in his hands. Moreover, red light flashed in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for having entered the Chaos Realm and received a special reward. Long Fei moved and clicked it. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the spiritual void ring. Rub. This is Laozi's thing to begin with, how can this be called a reward? Can you be any more darned? It was also at this time. The system beep sounded again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Hell's 18th floor, broken. Do you wish to integrate it into your body? It's mine too. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Devouring Vein. Do you wish to fuse it? Damn it. System, can you not be so darned? Would you like something practical? Give 1,000,000,000,000 of experience to me, your father will directly stand at the peak of Chaos Realm. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the main artifact Dragon Coffin. F***K, it's all my stuff. System, are you messing with me? Cursed, he was truly depressed, everything was sewn, could this even be considered as a reward? A scam was more like it. At this time, the system beep sounded out again. Ding. The main artifact Dragon Coffin started filling up its energy for the second time, and started evolving. Buzz. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly realized that all the things he had just acquired had changed. A few seconds later. Ding. Main artifact Dragon Coffin second evolution completed. Seeing that he had completed the evolution of the main artifact, Long Fei's blood started to boil with excitement. This is telling me to go to heaven. He had to force the thing to explode. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.